Tolos, do you feel better about your team's chance to win it all this season based on the new crop of young bucks joining your team? It's Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel. The NFL draft is over, Cole, and, a lot of things went the way we expected them to. Some things didn't. We'll get deep into the Carolina Panthers draft as a whole coming up in the very next segment of the show. We'll chat a little bit about Clemson and their drafting with Grayson Mann a little bit later on in the show. But things look surprisingly different than what they have in years past. Notably, there was only about half of the draft as opposed to years past. You go back to 2007, the NFL draft first round took 6 hours. 6 hours. Now, I know, we're all about trying to speed games up, like in baseball with a pitch clock, and we're trying to get things done faster, because people have the attention span of a goldfish. But this year, Cole, we cut the NFL draft. I didn't say we. They cut the NFL draft from 6 hours, which is where it was in 2007, to just under 3 hours in 2026. That's incredible.
That's a big cut.
Half.
But I want to know, going back to what you asked about 38, 39, 40 now seconds ago, did you just ask me, a Cowboys fan, if I feel better about my team's chances?
Say.
I mean, do you want that answer?
I don't have to ask that question about Cowboys fans.
Right? Yeah.
All of a sudden, the navy blue truck nuts, they're out all over town again. They got the star on each one of them, which is incredible. I know Cowboys fans feel good about the upcoming season.
And yes, of course we do. We are ready. And I haven't ever seen any truck nuts anyway. I mean, I don't see them as often
all
as
the
you
time.
do.
Maybe Malden is just truck
thing.
nut central. Put that on the sign as you roll into Malden.
Yeah, that's something to be known for.
Truck nut central.
I can't tell you if I've ever, I've seen pictures, but I don't know.
You've seen them?
No, I don't ever see them. As much as I drive, that's weird too.
It's always weird when you see somebody hang them on the trailer hitch with zip ties, knowing they could just fall off at any time.
But yes, I do feel better about my team's chances. I love what Dallas did. I like what Carolina did too. Like you said, we'll get into that. I think there's a lot of good grades for a lot of these NFL teams, but I also think there's some teams you look at and you just scratch your head a little bit. So it's fun. I think reacting, Diesel, to the draft as we do today is a lot more fun than predicting, because as we talked about last week, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the draft. The experts have the mock drafts out there, but they very rarely get it all right. So I've always enjoyed more, from what we do, I've always enjoyed reacting.
Oh, yeah, of course.
More so than predicting what's going to happen in the draft.
The prediction part is not fun because, we all know what we all think we know what these teams need. And then all of a sudden, the guy that they want comes off the board and everything goes haywire.
Oh, it's done.
And there'll be a position that, the GM or the coach knows more about somebody they have on roster who's not happy about where they are, et cetera. And so they'll take somebody that out of left field, out of nowhere, that nobody expected them to take. See, prediction season, I've heard other radio shows call it lying season as you lead up to the draft. Lying season. You're just lying because you don't know. You think you know, but you don't really have a clue.
I do love this one text that came in on the Joy Law Firm text line 5 hours ago. So mid-morning, texter says, can't wait to talk to Grayson Mann. He spelled Grayson and Mann wrong. About a conference game that includes Drake, May, and Cade Klubnik. Texter, I don't know what you're smoking this morning. I have no idea what it is, but we will ask, even though you spelled I've never seen anybody's name spelled Graycin. Have you heard of a Grayson, C-I-N?
Grayson?
I've never heard that. So you spelled Grayson and Mann wrong. I don't know if that was Dewey.
Parents these days, though. Parents are always looking for ways to make their kid's name unique.
Well, yeah, that'd be unique.
We're gonna name our kid Bill and put an X in there for some reason.
We'll ask about we'll ask Grayson Mann about maybe a potential Drake, May, Cade Klubnik. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we'll talk about Cade too. Cade did get drafted. There's a lot of Clemson players that got drafted this weekend, Diesel. So Clemson, obviously a couple of Gamecocks as well, but Clemson dominating the headlines from a local perspective. But it'll be interesting to see how these Clemson Tigers fare in the NFL.
JB, the OG Tolo on the stream. Welcome all you Tolos who are watching us live. Says, we don't have to worry about the Cowboys because Jera will muck it up for them at some point this coming season. And that's true. That's just
it's
par for the course for the Cowboys.
Y'all, people are so just
ignorant.
Jerry, in the middle of the season, Jerry's going to drop a touchdown pass in the middle of the season that cost them a chance to win a division game, right? Jerry's going to fumble the ball.
Jerry should have foreseen the dropsies from certain players. And
I think I could do an entire show on the laziest take in sports being that Jerry Jones is the reason.
You should write a book called The Failure of Jerry Jones.
Well, I think, look, has Jerry Jones been perfect? No. But I also think the laziest take to have in sports is, the Cowboys aren't good because of Jerry Jones. Well,
that's also what happens, though, when you put yourself out in the media constantly as the know-it-all GM and owner of a team.
I get it.
Especially one with the high profile like the Dallas Cowboys.
I get it.
It would be the same if Robert Kraft was far more aggressive and outspoken about the Patriots as it is with the Cowboys.
No, I get it. But, I mean, come on, JB, don't get on my bad side today. Don't do it.
Stephen Webb says, so would the Dallas truck nuts be D's nuts?
Yeah, maybe so. I like that.
God, Stephen Webb. God. No, I give the draft and Roger Goodell credit for realizing that we all have shortened attention spans and shortening this thing basically by half. Cole, think about all the advertising that they could have sold instead of if they had stretched this thing out to 6 hours like it used to be. But hey, 3 hours of actual watchable television, I think, is better than 6 hours of half the fan base is already checked out.
Yeah, and speaking of Clemson, how about let's run through real quick. We talked about this on Friday, Diesel, but as far as the Tigers go, you did have a couple in the first round. Blake Miller went 17 offensive tackle to the Lions. A few picks later, you had Peter Woods go 29 to the Kansas City Chiefs. So Clemson had 2 in the first round. And the second round, we talked about how long this would take, Diesel. On Saturday, TJ Parker, or was it Friday? I'm sorry, Friday night. TJ Parker went 3rd in the second round with the 35th overall pick to the Buffalo Bills. How about that? I think that's a big get for Buffalo, needing some help on that defensive front. So 1-2 Clemson Tigers go as Avion Terrell, defensive back out of Clemson, goes to the Atlanta Falcons in the second round.
Joins his brother.
Is that not awesome?
Yeah.
I mean, that is cool. You don't see that happen in the NFL often. So you had 2 Clemson Tigers in the first round, 2 Clemson Tigers in the second round. Third round, Antonio Williams goes number 7 in the third round to the Washington Commanders. And then when you look at the rest of the third round, let's see, he was the only Clemson Tiger, right?
2 in the fourth round. Cade Klubnik went to the Jets, and Wade Woodaz went to the Texans. Now, I actually like Cade Klubnik to the Jets. Now, I'm not saying, that going to the Jets is a reason to celebrate, right? That franchise is always in the dumps. But the Jets are not necessarily in love with Geno Smith that they just re-added to the roster. And Geno Smith, we don't know exactly what kind of relationship he's going to have with the organization and with the new coaching staff. Is he going to want back out? Is he going to retire soon? Who knows, right? He's still young enough. He still has years to play, but he has a bad taste in his mouth about being a Jet. So what if Cade Klubnik walks in and has an opportunity to compete for a real roster spot and potentially QB2 right out of the gate?
Oh, no, I don't think there's any doubt that Cade has an opportunity to compete. So if you were to say, Diesel, hey, where can Cade go where he can compete day one? To your point, New York would be a good destination.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of a couple of years ago when the Saints drafted Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for him, obviously, but he had an opportunity to compete for the job.
And Cade's going to have an opportunity. Does it work out? I mean, when you read it on the surface, you think New York Jets, oh boy, it's not going to be good. It's not going to work out. However, you said it. He's going to have an opportunity to compete. Geno Smith isn't going to be in the game too much longer, you don't think? He's getting up there in age. I will say this, though. I was really intrigued by Wade Woodaz to the Houston Texans.
Geno's
I like
35, by the way.
So that's old. For quarterback.
He's old for a quarterback.
I like Wade Woodaz to the Texans a lot, Diesel. They had 2 picks right there. They went offensive guard with 106, and then a few picks later, they go Wade Woodaz out of Clemson with the 123rd overall pick. D'Amico Ryans is a defensive guy, and you look like the past couple of years under DeMeco Ryans, the Houston Texans have been really good defensively, like really good. I mean, they even made a deep run in the playoffs and had an opportunity to make a playoff run towards the Super Bowl, but because of their offense and C.J. Stroud, they just couldn't get there. So I love Wade Woodaz going to this Texans defense, already a very strong unit. He's going to have an opportunity in Houston to learn from a lot of greats, and I mean greats. That defense right now is stacked. But then when you look on the flip side, Cade Klubnik also in that round. Other than Geno Smith, who you mentioned, they also have Brady Cook on the roster and Bailey Zappi. So
right, two guys that have been in the league for a little while. Brady Cook was undrafted as well. Bailey Zappi has bounced around a couple of different teams. I like it for Cade. I'm not predicting that he goes out and is a clear number 2 on this quarterback sheet, but
it's up to him now.
Could he be the one that pushes one of these two guys off the roster? Because most teams are not going to carry more than 3 quarterbacks.
I think possibly. Look, Brady Cook and Bailey Zappi, they've been in the league for a few years. Are they better right now than Cade? I'm sure they are right now, but if Cade Klubnik gets, feeling the right type of way and gets comfortable, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I think they'll maybe they'll I don't want to say turn to him, but maybe they'll use Cade as a serviceable backup to Geno.
Could be interesting. Some more numbers for you from the draft, Cole. 257 total players were picked by teams this year. A breakdown of that by classification. This is eye-opening here. 239 came from Power 4 programs, 13 from the group of 6, and 4 from the FCS. That right there, Cole, is evidence of the talent drain away from the FCS and the G6 up to the Power 4. These guys with the ability to just rapidly move from level to level and have multiple transfers over the course of their career. It's the big change here. Again, 13 from the G6, 4 from the FCS. I had ChatGPT look this up because these are numbers that I just didn't have the time to compile myself. According to ChatGPT, an average.
Look at you, by the way, starting to use Chat.
I use it all the time, man.
Look at you.
I use it all the time.
You were hating on him.
No. I use ChatGPT all the time. On average, so before the NIL and portal era, on average, 55 players were drafted from G6 programs before. And around 25 to 30 FCS players would be drafted every year. So that's eye-opening right now. It's like 1/6 of the G6 players and 4 out of 25, 1/5, like 20% or an 80% reduction of FCS players being drafted. That's huge. And if I'm seeing that as a player who thinks I have some skill, I'm absolutely going to try to move up.
Jersey Joe on Facebook says Cade won't even make the practice squad, commenting on the stream.
Joseph, that's cruel. That's mean. Why would you say that about a nice young man?
What does that tell you? If he doesn't, let's say he doesn't, it tells you that what we saw his senior season translated quickly over to the NFL, which usually is a good thing. But however, for Cade, he hopes that his senior season doesn't translate to the NFL. That's a good question. Maybe that's the question we ask on April 27th. Will Cade make the practice squad? And we won't know until obviously August, whatever, for another 3 months, Diesel. But I think I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but I do think if we put that out there and continue to ask it as a running poll, I think we'd have pretty close to 50-50 on that.
I just looked this up. Cade Klubnik is a marketing major, which is about as generic as it gets. It's the major you take when you want to kind of skate through it. No shade thrown at the marketing department down at Clemson, but I'm a marketing major myself, and it was as wide open and as generic as possible. I mean, I guess he could go do anything after college after this, but somebody from Clemson is going to find him a job in Greenville, and he's going to be real happy.
Well, it helps when you, and I say this with all seriousness, it helps when you market yourself in college, as Cade has.
He's also silly rich, so.
Well, he is, and what I'm saying is when you market yourself, and he was a high-profile enough quarterback in college that even if it doesn't work out in the NFL, like you said, he's going to land on his feet somewhere, and we'll be making bucos of money because somebody for Clemson alum will hire him at their law, whatever, and he'll be just fine.
He'll be on the broadcast with Don Munson one of these days.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I do think it's interesting, though. The New York Jets, out of all spots, like we've said, he's gonna have a chance to compete, and maybe that's a potential future option. I mean, why else do you draft a guy? Like, if you're happy with Bailey Zappi and you're happy with Brady Cook, you don't draft Cade Klubnik.
You add another project anywhere else on the field.
So what's that tell you? They're not feeling strong. I mean, and if you're Bailey Zappi and Brady Cook, now how do you feel? Hey, we're vets. We've been around, but it doesn't matter. They just drafted Cade Klubnik. We've got to now compete. So, look, it is the Jets. It is a bad organization, but I think, like we've talked about, that will be a very interesting storyline going into training camp in August is where's Cade Klubnik on this roster?
Another interesting storyline here as we wrap this segment up. Cole, Logan Jones. You probably have never heard that name before. I haven't either. But he was the 57th pick overall, which means he gets a lifetime supply of ketchup from Heinz.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
the company that makes
good.
Heinz 57, which is weird, right? Like, wouldn't he get a lifetime supply of Heinz 57? Why does he get a lifetime supply of Heinz ketchup?
I'd rather have the ketchup.
Well, me too, because one, maybe two bottles of Heinz 57 is a lifetime supply. I don't use
I can't tell you the last time I ever had it.
It's weird. I don't like the flavor of Heinz 57.
It's just not. It's not a good condiment.
Like, I have very strong opinions about A1 sauce. I think A1 is delicious on a steak. I don't care what anyone says. I have never and will never reach for Heinz 57 over A1 sauce. Never gonna happen because Heinz 57 sucks compared to A1.
And the only reason, like, if I'm eating a steak, the only reason I use A1 is because I love the taste of A1 so much. I want that incorporated with the steak. I've never thought, oh man, I'd love to have some Heinz 57 on this.
It's almost like pouring maple syrup on your steak.
Yeah.
Why would you?
I did get asked that Friday night. I went to the Peddler in Spartanburg, and somebody that I was with said, "Why are you using A1 on a steak?"
Because it's delicious.
Delicious. I mean, I ordered a nice bone-in ribeye, but I guess what? I still love A1. I mean, I don't care what cut it is.
I think here's how you should behave at a good restaurant, right? You ask if they have like a house-made sauce, something that they make in-house.
Yeah.
That's usually used from like the fat trimmings and the drippings and all that kind of stuff. The house-made sauce is the way to go. To me, I'd rather go house-made for a really good steak. House-made, no sauce, A1, like ketchup after that, and then Heinz 57.
What's
the worst.
What's it called? Downtown has a really good house sauce for steak. What is it? That you and your wife went for Valentine. Trapdoor.
Oh yeah.
They have a really good
good.
a house sauce for the steak. Mm-hmm. It's good. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
but I like A1 too.
I mean, their chefs know what's up, right?
Yeah. It's pretty good stuff.
Have that.
Let's go to the phone lines. Tallahassee Todd wants to weigh in. 844-326-3663. What do you say, Tallahassee Todd?
How about them Cowboys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How about them, buddy? We ready to roll. This our year, baby. Yes, sir. I'm excited.
Man.
Caleb Downs, man. Caleb Downs.
Fourth place is going to hit you like a ton of bricks, Tallahassee Todd.
I'll tell you one thing right here. For those who doubted us, put us down, called us names, said that this year it can't be done, I believe it will be done. And, baby, I'm putting on the house running on my Cowboys.
Push all the chips in, Tallahassee. Hey,
just like last year.
Oh,
and
it's
the year
every
before. And the year before.
Tallahassee
Have you
Todd.
learned nothing, Todd?
We 100% will win the NFC East, right? No doubt winning the East.
I'll tell you this much right here. It's getting brighter and brighter every year.
I agree. Good defense. Hey, got a new DC. Good picks. Caleb Downs is a beast. We have no excuse as long as George Pickens, that whole situation goes okay with the franchise tag. Everything. I think we're set up if we stay healthy to win the NFC East this year.
You know, you say set up. I say sawed up. I'm one of them Marlin boys that got them flags flying right now. I got
flags flying, baby.
I got them flying high to the sky.
I love it.
Up the air. Go Cowboys.
Yes, sir. Tallahassee Todd's my new favorite Tolo. He's my new favorite. Stuff. He is my. If you're a Cowboys fan, you have a special place for him.
Just a typical Cowboys fan.
No doubt.
Typical.
No doubt. We're back. This is our year. What else? South Carolina-wise, real quick, though. Gamecocks, couple of Gamecocks. Not as many as the Clemson Tigers, though, Diesel. Not as many, right? Not
couple did, though.
Couple did. In the second round, South Carolina Brandon Cisse went 20th in the second round, 52 overall to the Green Bay Packers, which I like that. You know, we talked about Cisse being the best Gamecock potentially in the draft, Diesel. He was, evidently, because he went first out of the Gamecocks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Green Bay, I think when you look at that Green Bay defense, there's been some issues there over the past few seasons. And offensively, this is a good Green Bay team, a good Green Bay quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. I really do. I think Brandon Cisse will have a chance to come in and compete pretty quickly in Green Bay. Gives them some depth there. That corner position in the NFL, I mean, it's just so vital. So I like it for Brandon.
If Nick Barrett makes his team, Cole, he might be putting on a Super Bowl ring in his first year, in his rookie season. Going to the LA Chargers?
I was going to say
fifth round defensive tackle to the LA Chargers. Now, he may not make the team.
No, none in the third for the Gamecocks. The next was fifth. So they went from second to fifth, right?
Second to fifth. Cisse in the second round to the Packers. Nick Barrett, fifth round to the Chargers. And then Jalen Kilgore went fifth round to the Bills.
Yeah, I like Nick Barrett to the Chargers, but I also go look at that Bills pick. I mean,
oh God, Chargers. I read LA Rams. That's my bad.
Well, the Chargers though,
they're really good though.
They're a good team. I mean, Chargers have been a couple of pieces away for the past few years from making a deep playoff run. Now, the Bills made an investment in that defense. They really did. And now with Sean McDermott out, real quick before we run to a break, I want to look. I'm not a Bills fan. I mean, obviously we talk about them and follow them, but I think the Bills might be a little bit sleeper here from what they did in the draft. I mean, they went heavy defense. And you know what? When you look at what puts them over the hump, that might be it. Jalen Kilgore, round 5, pick 167. Right? They went linebacker out of TCU, round 4. They did go wide receiver Skylar Bell out of UConn in round 4 as well. They got a tackle and a guard. Cornerback Davidson, I'm not going to pronounce his last name. They traded with Denver. They got TJ Parker, linebacker in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So a very heavy defensive draft for the Buffalo Bills. I think that's a team that people aren't talking about enough. A team that's every year in and year out, Diesel, right there on the hump, trying to get over the hump, and that's big time for the Buffalo Bills there.
Do you think TJ Parker and Jalen Kilgore are gonna carpool up to Buffalo?
I think they could, right? They could.
It'd be fun.
That's good picks though for Buffalo. Getting both of those guys.
I'm gonna say Davison, Igbenonson.
I wasn't gonna try.
Davison, Igbenonson.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna try. Let's see. Texter says that's why they win a lifetime supply. They're trying to give it away. Talking about the Heinz 57. I like that. I do like that. You might be on to something there. Another texter, this comes from the Leprechaun of Lyman. He says, man, oh man, he must be day drinking, and I should know. No, Leprechaun.
Are you also day drinking or
on a Monday? No, we're just excited. Me and Tallahassee Todd, we're excited about our Cowboys and what we did in the draft.
It's not day drinking if you never stop drinking.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love it, Tallahassee Todd. Keep flying them flags, baby. We're going to get there. You keep hacking away eventually. You're going to get there. Diesel, let's narrow it down on what the Carolina Panthers did in the draft. Did the Panthers get better? We'll dive into it next.
He's Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, Carolina Panther fans, we want to hear from you. 844-326-3663. How are you feeling on this Monday, Diesel, as you are a Carolina Panther fan? We have a lot of Panther fans listening in the audience. We talked about on Friday Monroe Freeling, the new offensive tackle from the Georgia Bulldogs that went to the Panthers with the 19th overall pick. But how do we assess what Dan Morgan and company did in the totality of the draft? I remember about a month or so after the season ended, you and I did a segment where we graded each draft selection now that the season had completed. So we do the same thing right now on the prediction side of things. We don't know how these are going to pan out, but just off of what we know, what did the Carolina Panthers do? How do we grade them? They took Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle out of Georgia in round 1, Diesel. Round 2, they got Lee Hunter, defensive tackle from Texas Tech. Round 3, Chris Braswell II, wide receiver from Tennessee. Round 4, Will Lee III, cornerback from A&M. Round 5, Sam Heck, center from Kansas State. Round 5, 151, Zach Wheatley, maybe, safety from Penn State. And round 7, Jackson Kuwatch, linebacker from Miami of Ohio. So they went offense, defense, offense, defense, offense, defense, defense. Pretty even there, right?
They got a good piece, and we'll get to this in a minute with Chris Brazel from Tennessee. I do love the fact that they got some weapons for Bryce. They didn't spend a lot of capital to go get Bryce Young, another weapon in Chris Brazel. But really the meat of this draft with Monroe Freeling, they needed another offensive tackle because Ike Ekwonu is coming off an injury. And even when Ike was healthy, he was a little bit of a liability over there, letting a lot of guys through the line to get at Bryce Young. So the draft pick of Monroe Freeling, really, really good. I like that one a lot. Lee Hunter from Texas Tech, they really needed a good run-stuffing defensive lineman. And Texas Tech had an amazing run defense last year. He was graded really highly there. And then Chris Brazel II from Tennessee. They got a big, long, wide receiver who possibly could replace Xavier Legette off of this roster. He's 6'4", 198 pounds. So he is a go up and get it kind of wide receiver. And if he is 85% of the receiver that Tet McMillan is, that is a dangerous 1-2 combo.
Well, I think you had to address wide receiver at some point. What we didn't know was when they would address him, right? You talked about him being at Tennessee. He was at Tulane before he was at Tennessee. So his stats have been impressive throughout the course of his career. Again, a receiver who played at a very high level and on the offensive side of things, Tennessee, you got to like that. Xavier Legette, we know right now, has not gotten it done. And when we went into this draft, we talked about the Panthers at some point, somehow, some way needing to, I don't know if put pressure on Legette's the right word, but address the wide receiver need just to see how that wide receiver core could shape out. This guy gets anywhere from 5 to 12 receptions a game. He did at Tennessee. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 games where he went over 100 receiving yards at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, Georgia, and ETSU. So he's got the potential. Like he's a receiver that, again, has played in a couple of different systems. I go back to what we said last week. I trust Dan Morgan, and that his combine prospect profile was graded out pretty high. And I think that if you look at this receiving core now, you definitely can say they got better opposed to not doing anything in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those guys that, again, if he is 85 to 90% of the player that Tet McMillan is, and I'm talking about growing into it, not as a rookie. Tet McMillan was amazing as a rookie. It certainly gives defenders and defensive coordinators something to think about instead of knowing that ball is going to McMillan every single chance they can get it to him. I mean, it makes you defend the whole field.
It does. And again, they were pretty even offensively, defensively. They needed to address something on the defensive line, and that's a position group for the past few years that we've talked about. I think this Lee Hunter signing is really interesting, Diesel. This Texas Tech defensive tackle. The defensive tackle is an area I don't think the Carolina Panthers have done well. I think 2 years ago it was 2 or 3 years ago where they just graded out near the bottom of the NFL when it comes to run stuffing defenses. So getting some help there on the interior, I think, will be big.
Well, you look back 2 or 3 years ago, they're going to grade out at the bottom of just about every category across the NFL, except for number of sacks given and the opportunity to get edge rushers from the other teams paid.
Lee Hunter, 6'4", 325, though. So
Big
it's
kid.
a big run stuffing kind of guy. I mean, that's what you need. And
I think I saw somewhere that Texas Tech had the lowest yards per rush given up, especially for interior rushes, at like 2.2 yards per play.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas Tech's run defense was amazing.
The college football playoff team
Yeah.
last year. So I like that. Look, of all the picks, obviously there's a lot of talk about Monroe Freeling with him going in the first round and the Brazil guy from Tennessee, which they need, help at wide receiver. But I think as we look, and now it'd be on April 27th, if we were to forecast, don't be surprised if Lee Hunter is the most impactful guy there is. I just look at him and what he's done. He was at UCF. They were in the American Conference his first year at UCF. Then they went to the Big 12 for 2 years. His senior season at Texas Tech, played in 14 games, didn't record as many tackles as he did at UCF in the Big 12 in their first year, didn't get quite as much playing time, but 2.5 sacks last year. Again, it comes down to run stuffing, and with a lot of these defensive tackles, Diesel, their stats aren't going to look sexy. They're not going to grade out as the best defensive player, but this is an area, this is a need that Carolina desperately needed to address. So overall, I mean, I would not give them anything lower than a B+. I think it's a very good draft. Again, when you look at what they did, it's not a very sexy draft because they had an offensive tackle, a defensive tackle, and a center. So 3 interior lineman positions, right? 3 positions on the line of scrimmage. Those aren't the sexiest of picks. We talked about that last week, but I think a very solid draft where Dan Morgan showed us that, hey, we've got to strengthen the offensive line. We've got to strengthen the defensive line and this defensive secondary, especially in day 3. Will Lee, the third cornerback. Sam, is it Hecht out of Kansas State?
Hecht, yeah.
And then the Wheatley kid out of Penn State. That's 3 guys in the secondary they addressed on day 3. So evidently, when you look at those 3 guys, Dan Morgan saw something that he said, hey, we can wait until a little bit later in the draft to address the secondary. You didn't get the top players in the draft when it comes to the defensive secondary, but I like what Dan Morgan did.
Yeah, I like that pick there with Lee Hunter because he doesn't necessarily have to come in and start right away. I think he's a key and a really good rotational player for a year or two, and then if he develops in the right way, boom, he steps in. He's a starter.
Yeah,
I love that they don't. They're not going to be asking a rookie to go out there and play a lot of snaps. They still have, defensive tackle. They still have Cam Jackson, Derek Brown, and Bobby Brown III. They've got 3 really good defensive tackles on this team. Big kids that played at big-time schools. So, I think that was a good pick there in the second round. Good pick up there in the third round with the wide receiver Brazel. And then after that, who knows? Who knows if a 4th, 5th, and 7th round, or if those 4th, 5th, and 7th round picks will be called on
more
in
depth
a big
guys.
Way. But also, last I heard, I did hear something about Carolina's starting center being kind of towards the end of his contract. So Sam Hecht, maybe not this year, but next year could be stepping into a starting role also if he develops in the right way.
Well, games are still won and lost in the trenches, and regardless of how offenses evolve, Dan Morgan, I think he addressed that. And I do think if you're a Panthers fan, I'm not one, but I think if you are, you have to feel good about the offense and defensive front. You got to remember the Panthers used their first 2 picks on linemen this year. The 2 years before that, it was wide receivers, right? But so now they go with 2 linemen who combined for 638 pounds, and then you add that 6'4" receiver. This is a team that did win the division last year, right? Won the NFC South. So who did you say his contract was? Was it Ekwonu or no?
No, Ike Ekwonu was injured. He's injured. He was banged up. Ruptured a patellar tendon.
I got you. So with that being the case, Monroe Freeling, I mean, you're talking about a first-round guy might all of a sudden start. I don't know if he does, but if he's a first-round guy, you got to imagine he's going to get some
heavy rotation,
a chance to win that starting job at left tackle. And with Ekwonu hurt, I think that you could see Monroe starting there, and you've got to build that thing from inside to out, man. So I like what he did. Again, you said it; those final pieces on day 3, we'll see. They may be more depth type pieces, but guess what? Those are important as well because people are going to be injured. So where would you grade it? What if you had to give him a letter grade? Would you go B+, A-? Where would you land on this?
Yeah, I'm somewhere in that B+, A- range. I think it was a really good draft for them. They addressed needs, and second and third day kind of guys, or third and fourth day kind of guys, they're there to try and see if they can win a position group.
I'd go B+ or A-. I mean, depending on how the wide receiver from Tennessee does, Brazel.
Yeah,
depending on how he does. There's some really good reviews on this guy. Again, 6'4", 198. He had 62 receptions for 1,017 yards this past year at Tennessee. SEC leading 9 receiving touchdowns. He's fast. He ran a 4.37 at the combine. Very long, good jump ball skills. One of the Panthers scouts said the speed is what jumps out right away to you. It's the size, but also the combination of speed, size, and body control that he shows over the field. He kind of seems like a similar receiver to Tet McMillan. Yeah, I mean, from what I've read Diesel, and with the little bit of film I have watched on him, he looks like a good route runner, something that might pair up on the other side.
I think he's the guy that almost immediately competes to push Xavier Legette out of a starting position.
Yeah,
almost immediately.
And if he does,
yeah.
I mean,
like who were Bryce's biggest targets last year? It was Tet McMillan, Bryson Tremaine a little bit, and the Jalen Coker. I mean, Jalen Coker is going to stick around because that guy was
so
just
young.
invaluable.
Yeah,
but I think Brazel has a chance to really step in and play the opposite side. I mean, Jalen Coker's still going to be running across the middle. I'll put him on the opposite side of Tet McMillan, and you make defensive coordinators figure, all right, are they going to throw it to the guy who's 6'5", or are they going to throw it to the guy that's 6'4"?
Well, I think Chris has good genes. His dad did play for the Cowboys for 2 years. So, I mean, if we know anything about the guy, we know that his dad played for the right team, right? Even though his son didn't. I think it's going to be interesting to watch.
Who does he think he is?
I like it. I think they did pretty good, Diesel. I think they had a pretty solid draft.
For what it's worth, NFL.com grades the Panthers draft as an A-.
I like that.
A-. They said
I like that.
Good A grade on Monroe Freeling, B+ grade on Lee Hunter, A- grade on Chris Brazel II.
That's a good grade, man.
See how it
you
plays
should be
out.
Excited.
When we come back, Cole, we are going to shift our daily wires to the 3:45 segment. Unusual. Obviously, we normally do it at 4:45, but we have a guest coming up at 4:45. That will be Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports. He joins us to talk NASCAR. Don't forget Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com going to come on with us at 4:22. But on the other side of the break, our rapid fire look at the sports world, our daily wires next. being quick is a good thing. These are our daily wires.
Buzz.
The buzz happening around the sports world. The South Carolina Gamecocks took 2 of 3 from Kentucky over the weekend.
They sure did.
Indeed. 22.
What was that you did, by the way? There you go.
I'm not gonna go that hard. I can't. I'll throw my voice out. I can't.
Oh, yeah, I wish you would, though. There you go.
See, I can't do it the way Tom can.
That was a good one the other day.
Was it
cocky for a reason? I think so.
Yeah. Ashley Chastain Woodard and the Gamecocks are now 29-22 on the season. They took 2 of 3 from Texas A&M.
Good win for them.
Yes, it was. Back in action on Tuesday, tomorrow night, against South Carolina State. Free admission to the public. So Tom in Somerville's got no excuse. He better be there.
Yeah, he should be if he's truly a diehard.
Mm-hmm.
If he's truly a diehard.
Coach Eric Bakich and the Clemson Tigers, they don't get a roar because they sucked this weekend.
What sound effect do I have for them?
Oh, man.
Just burn it down?
A sad kitty cat?
I'd say just light a match and throw it on it or cut it down. I don't know. I mean, what do you do?
Tough.
How about this one? Is that one? Just cut it down, be done with it?
Yeah, it's what everybody should do. If you got a Bradford pear in your lawn, your grass, in your yard, I want to hear this sound.
That's what their season has basically. I mean, it's been disastrous.
Expected to make a regional, possibly even host one, and they're 6-15 in ACC play.
Rough.
God,
rough.
At least they got time to think about it because they don't have a midweek game this week.
Yeah, that's gonna make them better, I think.
The Atlanta Braves looked real good over the weekend. They took 2 of 3 from the Phillies. They're 20-9 on the season. They have a 6.5 game lead over the Miami Marlins, and still the only team in Major League Baseball that has not lost a series.
Yeah, Diesel, it's been a while since, as a Braves fan, I felt this good. I mean, look, there's still so much baseball to be played. You still got May, June, July, August, September, 5 more months of meaningful baseball. But I can tell you, it's been a while since Braves fans have had this much to be excited about. Best record in baseball right now.
Was it Friday night's game when they brought Michael Harris II in off the bench to pinch hit, and he just puts one out there to the left field wall and scores a run with an RBI?
I think so, because I think it was Thursday when he got hurt, banged up a little bit. I think so. But I will say this, the guy that deserves – a lot of guys deserve credit right now, but the guy, in my opinion, that deserves the most credit is Chris Sale. But this guy, Diesel, at his age –
he's only 30. Stop saying his age. He's
only
only
for
37.
a pitcher.
That is old.
That's old. That is old for a pitcher.
I mean, he's got deep gray in the beard.
And that's very old. And let me tell you, yesterday, what he did yesterday, and that I forget which inning it was, 5th, maybe when he had the bases loaded, with 1 or 2 out, well, maybe 0 or 1 out. I mean, he got out of that inning and then came back the next inning, went 3 straight, 3 up, 3 down. Chris Sale right now is just playing at another level. And a guy who's had a lot of injury concerns and is up there in age for a pitcher, you love to see it. This guy is truly just playing at an elite level for the Atlanta Braves.
He has also just passed Tom Glavine for career strikeouts. It's not a record by any means, but he has passed Tom Glavine. And Tom Glavine's an all-time great Brave.
Sure.
I love Tom Glavine. One of my favorite, because I throw baseball lefty. So I always love Tom Glavine and Steve Avery off of that staff. They work great together. Carson Hocevar secured his first career NASCAR Cup Series win at Talladega yesterday, driving the number 77 Spire Motorsports Chevy in the Jack Links 500. He won his first race on his 91st career start, edging out Chris Buescher by 0.114 seconds. Boucher?
What's this guy called that does our sports flashes? Sports Flash Man. He said Buescher. Chris Buescher.
He's Flash Man.
But hey, all seriousness, I'm a Carson Hocevar fan. I've liked him for a couple of years now, and it's been a long time coming for him to get his first win. Mm-hmm. This was awesome. I'm telling you, a lot of people don't follow NASCAR, so may not understand how big. He's the best thing going for the sport right now. He is absolutely captivating the NASCAR audience. He's just got that personality that's very
he was also hanging out of the driver's window.
That's what I'm saying.
As he was doing his
that was
victory
the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. The most incredible thing.
What did they call that trend a couple of years ago, like ghost driving or something, where you would get out of the car?
Yeah. Dale Earnhardt did it back in forget what year it was.
Wow. Dale can do anything.
Dale did it. I'll tell you what the difference was. Dale did it while they were under caution. He had something on his windshield, and he got out, and he started driving with his legs, and he reached on the windshield and wiped off the windshield so he didn't have to take a pit.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Carson, man, congratulations. I was happy. I had several people text me yesterday because they knew it's been a long time coming for that guy. So that was a lot of fun to see. Dan B was one of them, by the way.
Big weekend for the Fitzpatrick brothers, Matt and Alex, the PGA event at the Zurich Classic in New Orleans. Did you also see that there was an alligator that walked across the 17th tee box? I don't know who was trying to tee off, but a gator slowed him down for a minute.
They didn't allow him on the course because he didn't have a pair. It was a paired course this weekend. You could be out there by yourself.
The play-by-play guy was all over it. He said that is not Tripod, another alligator that lives on site that only has 3 legs, so they call him Tripod. This one had 4 legs. Don't know what happened to Tripod. I'm sure he's out there somewhere. But
not we all making fun of him on live television. He's not. Dear God.
Matt said, to win a team event on the PGA Tour with my brother, I don't know if it gets better than that. That's how special this feels.
Pretty cool.
NBA series update as the playoffs are ongoing. The Eastern Conference round 1, Cavs and Raptors tied 2-2 after Toronto beat Cleveland yesterday. Celtics took a 3-1 series lead after a Game 4 win over the 76ers.
And how about LeBron James on Saturday night? Are you kidding me? Game tying 3 or game, I don't want to say game winning, but a pivotal 3-pointer in the corner for the Los Angeles Lakers. They lost last night to the Rockets, so they lead 3-1.
Yeah, still lead 3-1, though.
My gosh.
A lot of people have high expectations for these Rockets.
Yeah. All right, Diesel, let's continue to draft our most surprising draft selections. What draft selection surprised us the most over the weekend? Which one surprised you the most? We'll dive right back into the NFL draft next. your team did this past weekend. Let's do a little NFL draft fandom check-in on the Joy Law Firm text line. Reminder, we have Overreaction Monday coming up 1 hour from right now. You can overreact at 844-326-3663. But NFL fandom check-in. Diesel's a Panther fan. As we all know, I'm a miserable Cowboys fan. I want to know who you're a fan of. And
not
how.
Today you're not miserable. You're happy.
That's true. Most of the time I am, but not today. From now until September, I'll be very happy.
They haven't had a chance to disappoint you yet.
Not yet. Want to know, Tolo's out there on the Joy Law Firm text line, who you're a fan of and how you grade what your team did this weekend. We know where our fandom lies for a lot of you Tolos when it comes to Clemson and South Carolina, who you pull for, who you hate. But NFL-wise, how do you grade what your team did? I love what the Cowboys did defensively. Diesel, we just talked about the Panthers a few minutes ago. You said ESPN.com gave them an A-. Is that right?
That's right. That was the NFL.com.
That's NFL.com. That's a very good grade. I think that, again, when you look at what they did, they addressed the line of scrimmage. So, Tolos, want to hear from you. 844-326-3663. Who's your NFL team, and how do you grade what they did? We'll carry that conversation over in the 5 o'clock segment as well. You know, a lot of teams out there always have sneaky drafts, a couple of picks that we don't talk about. And I think those are interesting, Diesel, to see 2, 3, 4 years from now. You look back and think, oh, man, what a good draft that ended up being. But where would you start? When you look at what surprised you the most, what did or didn't happen in this draft, where would you start?
I find it fascinating that Diego Pavia, with all of his bluster and gusto, went undrafted. How is it that a guy who came out of nowhere, who's 5'2", and seems to be a real pain in the ass to be in a locker room with, as a sore loser when he does win the Heisman, how is it that guy didn't get drafted? Oh, yeah, he also didn't have any representation either. So just a guy going off completely half-cocked. Everything he does not get drafted. I just didn't see that one coming.
That's definitely the big surprise. Yeah. Everybody's shocked, right? That guy, he basically said, no, I don't want an agent. I'm going to represent myself.
Here's the audio of that, by the way. He was on with John Gruden.
This is it.
That's playing off of. Here we go. Let's do this instead.
All right.
This is the audio of Diego Pavia talking to John Gruden about not wanting an agent.
Now, are you represent yourself, or do you have an agent?
No, I'm representing myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think it was fair that someone would represent me and take 5 to 10%. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody taking my money. I'll tell you that.
It's unbelievable for a young guy to be able to do this, man.
Well,
John's reactions were
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Second reaction was
5 to 10%. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody taking my money. I'll tell you that.
It's unbelievable.
Ain't nobody taking my money.
That's unbelievable.
What money is Diego Pavia referring to? If he didn't get drafted,
wait till he gets a job at a Chipotle and they take 25 to 35% in taxes.
I was going to say, I hope Diego knows how that Sam guy does you every year when you have to turn in your taxes.
Yeah, he's going to find out real quick how a cash register works.
Ain't nobody taking my money.
What money?
Ooh, I'd like to know who was Diego Pavia's NIL agent. I don't know. I don't know that guy. So that's a funny one that you bring that up because, yes, that is a very interesting storyline. He chose to represent himself. It did not work out well. I do think – I'm not saying it never works when you represent yourself, but I do think there's a lesson learned here. Hey, instead of trying to be the guy that's the smartest guy in the room that has to do things his way, why not just do I don't know, what everybody else does. Take the safer route. Instead of being this journeyman who's taking the route less travel, Diesel, how about just do what maybe could get you in the NFL and hire an agent in the first place?
It feels like Diego Pavia, I mean, obviously he was this year's Shedeur Sanders. This overconfident, maybe silly, media circus figure, and turns out nobody wanted him.
Yeah,
maybe it was the F Indiana sign. Maybe it was the throwing
well,
middle
I think
fingers
the
at
Heisman
the
had a
camera,
lot to
getting
do
drunk on the street after losing the Heisman.
I think it had to have had a lot to do with it. There's just no way you can convince me that the way he acted after he didn't win the Heisman didn't play a role in him in the NFL.
He was the first Heisman finalist since 2014 to go undrafted.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the words of John Gruden. Wow. Wesley Roberts on the Facebook stream says, congrats to South Carolina. 3 draft picks this year. Wesley Roberts coming in April, firing some shots. I love it. I think we've got a good sound effect for that.
Wow.
He's Wesley Roberts is coming in here full semi-automatic right now. Just shots fired. April, it's not even football season yet. He doesn't care. 3 draft picks for the Gamecocks, a resident Tiger taking shots. Gamecocks, are you going to let him do that to you? Wow. Diego, wow. He ain't messing with my money. All right, a lot of texts coming in on the Joy Law Firm text line. If you just tuned in, we are asking you to let us know who your NFL team is and how you would grade what they did in the draft. Reminder, Overreaction Monday coming up at 5 o'clock. But text the show, the Joy Law Firm text line, 844-326-3663. Who's your NFL team? How do you grade what they did? I would probably go B+ for mine, A-. Diesel, you went B+, A- for your Panthers as well.
For what it's worth, NFL.com graded the Dallas overall haul as a B+. They give the Caleb Downs pick, Caleb Downs and Malachi Lawrence, 2 day 1 picks, a B+. I really like the Caleb Downs pick. I mean,
how do you not?
He's a smart guy. He's a likable guy, and I think he's gonna be all over the field for the Dallas Cowboys immediately.
Oh, sorry about that.
Is
that you? Is that me? That's me.
That's
time.
you.
We're just playing all kind of music today. Did you like that song, by the way? What was that? Fun song,
Is
right?
that Limp Bizkit?
I don't know what that is. It's just one of these ads, I guess. Cowboys went defense, offense, offense. So you can hear the writing on the wall there. They knew what their offseason needs were, defense, right? And they traded 2 5th-round picks to move up 1 spot for Caleb Downs. And I think that you said it there. He's the one that everybody's going to talk about it. So I do think this is interesting, though, real quick on the Cowboys front. You could say, if this works out, being able to get Quentin Williams last year and Caleb Downs becomes a franchise guy, yes, you still do miss Micah Parsons, but this Micah Parsons trade, I don't know. Maybe we look back and say Jerry made a good trade there one day. We'll see. But
does it concern you when guys, for example, like Malachi Lawrence, this is what NFL calls him, a late riser, a guy that sort of comes out of nowhere and gets elevated on draft day? Does that make you nervous, or is it?
I think there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah. Is it agents, not agents, but is it GMs like finally recognizing, oh, this guy is a really good player?
I think there's a lot of unknowns there, no doubt. By the way, the Cowboys did sign Pittsburgh wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling today to a 1-year deal, so adding a little bit more depth there. But Caleb Downs, Malachi Lawrence, you hope those two both pan out. UCF product and Malachi Lawrence. I think that you look at the edge position, they desperately needed help there, and they got 2 guys, 1 in the 1st round and 1 in the 3rd round. So I would agree with NFL. I'd go somewhere from B+ to A-. Caleb Downs being a big part of that. We'll see. I'm really excited to see how Caleb Downs does in the NFL, how that game translates. So we'll see. Those are our teams, though. 844-326-3663. Tolos, who's your team? How do you grade what they did? Texter Diesel from the 907 gets in and says, Raider fan, first draft in a while where I feel like they did a really good job. So a Raider fan, by the way, that's not the only Raiders fan text on the Joy Law Firm text line. Let's look at that. We know they had the number 1 overall pick, and we know that they took quarterback out of Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. But the Las Vegas Raiders, how do we grade what they did in the AFC West? They went Fernando Mendoza 1, trade in Stooks, defensive back out of Arizona, Diesel. So they went quarterback, DB, edge, offensive guard, cornerback, running back, safety, cornerback, wide receiver,
Good
defensive
God.
tackle.
How many picks did they have?
They had 7, 8, 9, 10 picks. They had 10
Ooh.
picks in this year's draft.
2 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth.
Yeah. So you got your quarterback. What I do like about this Raiders draft is they were able to address their number one need at quarterback, but they were also able to still get a lot of really good players as well. So the texters on the text line who are Raiders fans, you should feel happy about, obviously, Mendoza. You should feel happy that you have Tom Brady in the room helping lead this organization in a minority role. The Raiders traded a 2027 7th round to go get McCoy, who I think will be a good corner cover. A good cover corner.
Yeah.
I had my words mixed up there.
Had a little bit of a knee issue, though.
Had a knee issue.
At Tennessee.
We'll see if that, comes back to bite them. But I think they got a lot of good value players. Hey, what was interesting is they already have Ashton Jeanty. They also went and got Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas, who was a good back to provide some competition at the running back position. So they got a haul. And you know what, man? If you draft 10, your chances of not busting is a lot higher than teams that only get 6 or 7 draft picks. So I don't know if I'd say they had the best draft overall. Obviously, if Mendoza pans out, Diesel, we might say that. But for what it's worth, I think they had a very good draft. NFL.com gave them an A- to the Las Vegas Raiders.
They also drafted a 5th-round corner named Hezekiah. Anytime you draft somebody named Hezekiah, that dude's going to work his butt off for you.
Out of Cal, right?
Yeah.
Out of Cal. So good draft. On the Joy Law Firm text line, another texter from the 803 says Raiders, and for once, I'll give them an A. Improved the secondary a lot and obviously got their franchise quarterback.
Hopefully got their franchise quarterback.
Right? Hopefully.
You never use the word obviously or lock with a 1st-round draft pick, especially a quarterback.
Got 4 players in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
So you like that. That's a big need. And now the question becomes, now that the draft is over for the Las Vegas Raiders, and we talked about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago, now the conversation turns to, okay, how long is Mendoza sit on the bench, right? They just signed a guy for a lot of money.
Yeah. And
usually in the NFL, money talks in terms of playing time. So now it's like Mendoza, even though he was on the clock, he's on the clock again in just a different way this time.
I mean, if you believe what the staff tells you, he's not going to start this season. He's not going to be the permanent starter at any point this season. That doesn't mean he won't start a game to get experience of what it feels like, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kirk Cousins quietly just moves out of the way somewhere around week 8, halfway through the season. All right, you're 8 weeks in, you're obviously off-season workouts and all that in camp, all that leading in. By that point, you've been around long enough. You're ready to go. I'd give him week 8, and he's the starter for the rest of the year.
And I guess this is why I could never be a coach at a high level. But here's my problem with, and we've talked about this at the college level as well. This year with Clemson, I think it's going to be a perfect example, right? Well, you've got Christopher Vazina as the starting quarterback. Well, by week 8, maybe week 5, Tate Reynolds might be the starting quarterback. This is why I couldn't be a coach. As a competitor, I'm sitting there thinking, I want to win every game. As a competitor, if Kirk Cousins gives me the best chance to win, fine. But if I really want to win and that guy's not getting it done, and I can see that in practice and training camp, why am I waiting until week 8 to put him out there? I would say, hey, if you're worried about development and want him to be developed the right way, then if they suck, they suck. You get a good draft pick next year.
Yeah, but Kirk Cousins is expendable. And if your offensive line sucks and your quarterback is getting pounded out there, then I'd rather it be Kirk Cousins getting pounded than Fernando Mendoza.
I would too. By the way, they got one offensive lineman, offensive guard, Trey Zune III out of Texas A&M, 3rd round, pick 91. Mm-hmm. So didn't address it a ton, but they did, they got one guy. And I don't know a ton about the A&M product there, but one's better than none, I guess. So for those Raider fans out there that are listening, we appreciate you. Tennessee Tyler text in 844-326-3663. If you just tuned in, who's your NFL team? How do you grade what they did in the draft? You can also comment on the stream as well. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Diesel, Tennessee Tyler says, I give my Panthers an A+. Go Vols. A+. I would love to know, Tennessee, Tyler, which player pushed them from like an A or an A- to an A+. Which player are you most excited about? Which player are you most excited about as a Panther fan, Diesel? Of the Panthers draft selections, which one excites you the most?
Well, sorry, but linemen don't excite me. it's Brazel.
Playmakers, right?
It's Brazel, the wide receiver.
Yeah.
See
what he can do, come in and push XL and see if he can be a starting wide. I mean, I'll tell you this on that note, and we talked about this last year. Now that you add Brazel, they've got a pretty stacked wide receiver room. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
McMillan, Leggett, obviously they lost Thielen last year. Coker was really good. I think this could be now, again, what happens with Leggett's going to be important, very important. But
if Leggett can find a way to turn it on, and if you had three good big-bodied wide receivers on this team, that's a dangerous team.
Jimmy Horn?
Yeah, Jimmy Horn. I just don't have a lot of faith in him to turn around. Not to say that he can't. I just don't have faith in
XL.
Xavier.
I hope you're wrong, but obviously he's had a tough couple of years. But that wide receiver room, man, the Tremaine. So I don't know I think this is going to be the number one, the most interesting position group going into training camp. Just in terms of who starts, because like we said, we have Ted McMillan, who started last year, Jalen Coker, XL. You have Michi the third now, too, right? You signed him. Jimmy Horn Jr., Brazel, that you just drafted, Bryson Tremaine, David Moore. You've got a pretty deep wide receiver. I don't know if it's an elite wide receiver core, but it's pretty deep. I think that's going to be here in 3 months, Diesel, 3-4 months, as we're talking about training camp getting going. I think that's going to be probably the most interesting position. And you're right, offensive line's not going to excite a lot of people, but to see if Brazel can add to that receiving core for Bryce Young, got an offensive lineman to give him some protection. Now getting a little extra pieces out there on the outside. Very, very nice. Yeah. Good draft for the Panthers.
I think that offensive line pickup for the Panthers, he's going to be going up against Ruben Bain for a while.
Yeah.
Monroe Freeling versus Ruben Bain.
Yeah,
that's going to be a battle for a while because I don't like the fact that Ruben Bain is in the NFC South with the Panthers.
What about the New York Giants, a team that just fired Brian Daboll? And we saw that coming. They got Arvell Reese out of Ohio State, which I like a lot. Then they went and got an offensive lineman from Miami, cornerback from Tennessee, wide receiver from Notre Dame, defensive tackle from Auburn, offensive guard from Illinois, and a linebacker from BYU. I think New York had a similar type draft as the Panthers, where it's not like the sexiest, but they got some needs.
I like their day one. I really like Arvell Reese and Francis Mauigoa.
Well, you saw flashes when Jackson Dart and Cam were healthy last year. You saw some flashes right before Brian Daboll got canned. So you got to think, okay, if we can get this thing right, I hope they don't because they're in the NFC East, but I like what they did there. I'd give them a B+, A-. I think they had a really good draft. What about Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville? They had a really good year last year, Diesel. What did the Jaguars do to help Trevor Lawrence and help them continue to make a push in a tough division with the Chiefs, with the Texans? They did not have a round one pick, but they did have a good mini picks this year. They went tight end, defensive tackle, offensive guard, safety, edge, tight end, receiver, edge, linebacker.
I'm curious, if you drafted a second round tight end, why would you then draft a fifth round tight end?
Added two of them.
Why would you not use that fifth round draft pick to go to give him another weapon or give him another blocker?
Nate Borkicher out of A&M, who they went with first.
Yeah.
6'5", 245. Had a pretty good prospect grade coming out of the combine, but you're right. Interesting. We'll see. Again, not a lot of big names that Jacksonville drafted. Not having a first round pick hurts them a lot too, but I think that's I think it's a lot more fun. Tennessee Tyler says most excited about Brazel, the receiver. So he'd agree with you, Diesel, that the Panthers we'll be watching that wide receiver room.
Well, we are very excited to bring on our very next guest on the other side of this break, Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com, to break down Clemson's showing in the draft, which was very strong. Also, their showing on the baseball diamond this weekend that was not strong in any way, shape, or form. Grayson Mann of TigerNet next. Well, he is a first-round draft pick in our hearts. That's why he leads the show guest-wise every single Monday. Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com joins the show. Grayson, you wrote the story. I want to just kind of get out of the way and let you take over. Avian Terrell joining his brother AJ Terrell on the Falcons. You wrote the story about older brother AJ not having the strongest poker face as far as who was going to draft his younger brother. Can you go into that?
Yeah, so it sounds like based off of the weekend, Diesel, it was a call earlier in the draft, maybe around pick 44, 45. Kevin Stefanski reached out to AJ and said, hey, we're taking your younger brother. And as someone who has a sibling, I know my brother's tells better than anybody else. And I think this was the case for Avion, where I think AJ started to get a little bit antsy, a little bit restless over there. And he felt, okay, something's happening and I'm probably going to be a Falcon here.
It's a pretty cool story. It really is. Hopefully it works out to where they can play on the team, same roster for a good while in the NFL. Very rare. Grayson, always appreciate you hopping on. What do you make of the Detroit Lions selection? Blake Miller, obviously the longevity that he had, the consistency at Clemson, never missing a start, a very proven, seasoned tackle. And when you look at the Lions, what they did in the offseason, they completely revamped that offensive line, cutting a couple of guys, adding 4 new offensive linemen before they added Blake Miller. How do you see Blake Miller fitting up north with Dan Campbell?
It's based off of everything Dan Campbell has said. It sounds like he's a Dan Campbell guy for everything that they want to achieve up there. And Penei Sewell, who's been sort of their right tackle mainstay for the last several years, it sounds like they're going to swing him out to the left side, and Blake Miller immediately comes in and is your starting right tackle. And they need him to join and really kind of revamp this offensive line pretty quickly, as you had mentioned, losing a lot of pieces. So really has to complement what is an all-pro guy on the other side. But Jahmyr Gibbs, the offense certainly wants to run through him. A little bit of a down year without Ben Johnson, so it'll be interesting to see how he fits in to this Detroit offense. But I would be shocked if Blake Miller isn't your day one starter in Detroit at that side.
Find him on Twitter at Gray_man with 2 N's, the number 21. Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com joining us. Bailey Zappi was he was a Patriot. He was with you for a little while. Now he's a New York Jet. He's competing with Brady Cook, I guess, to see who's going to back up Geno Smith. But all things are not hunky-dory and kumbaya there in the New York Jets organization. And I think that lends itself to being a strong opportunity for Cade Klubnik to come in. Didn't necessarily have the senior season that everybody wanted him to have or expected him to have. But, give us your thoughts on Cade walking into a situation where he very much has an opportunity to compete for QB2.
If you're talking about a spot that gives you a chance to really compete and seriously earn a spot on a roster, I think for Klubnik, this might be one of the better landing spots for him, where you mentioned it. Brady Cook, not really worked out in the NFL. Bailey Zappi hasn't really worked out in the NFL. So the cards aren't exactly stacked against, and that deck isn't exactly as stacked against Klubnik as you may think it would be. And I thought he went a lot earlier than maybe I expected. I had him maybe as a 5th rounder, potentially going early in the 6th round. And it looks like the Jets really fell in love with him in the pre-draft process. Just kind of the intangibles that he had at Clemson, just hard worker, certainly the athletic traits over some of the other quarterbacks in that draft, Nussmeier being one of the main ones that Klubnik faced in the fall. It sounds like they liked him a lot over some of those other guys. And 4th round, not a bad chunk of cash either.
No, absolutely not. Grayson, what do you make of Cade's ability to not only try to correct what he didn't do in his senior year, but go into an organization with, I guess, some added pressure, where the Jets just haven't been good, and it seems like it all fails and lives and dies on the shoulders of the quarterback in New York, a tough organization to walk into. How do you think he'll handle it from the pressure aspect of it?
Yeah, certainly I think a lot of pressure was rested on Klubnik's shoulders this year, and I think being the quarterbacks that follow Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and really since Klubnik's come into Clemson, it's been about restoring this organization and program back to its rightful spot from the 2010s, and it hasn't happened that way. And so you go into an organization that hasn't had any success whatsoever outside maybe a season or there. So I would maybe argue that the pressure isn't exactly on him. He's a 4th round pick. He's not exactly expected to come in and be the starter. So maybe there's an opportunity for him to lay in the shadows for a year or two. But honestly, guys, it would not shock me if Klubnik plays this year. Geno Smith, very interception prone, a little bit older now, coming back to his stopping grounds. If Klubnik was starting a week 17 or 18 game in December or January, it would not surprise me in the slightest.
Grayson, as I look up and down the list of Clemson players that were drafted this year, 7 of them, I can't point to any one of them and say, gosh, they're just going into a situation that I wouldn't want to be walking into. It's not they're not going to any bum franchises. Even Antonio Williams drafted in the 3rd round. He's going to be playing with Jaden Daniels right up the road in Washington. It's a hard question to answer, but of these 7 guys that were drafted, whose situation for them relative to the player do you like the best? Because they're all, I think, going to some pretty good opportunities.
I think good situation can mean different things, whether we're talking about somebody that could play immediately or somebody that is going into a winning organization, and that kind of culture can maybe set them right. I like Peter Woods to Kansas City. I really think that spot for him where I think motor was the biggest question for him in 2025. I think the talent is all there. And we look at this time last year, he was a consensus I think he was the top non-quarterback prospect in a lot of people's mock drafts. And so Kansas City certainly thinks they can unlock some of that potential back. And you get to pair that with Chris Jones, who has lived and breathed as one of the best defensive tackles in football of the last decade. So maybe you can find a mentor there to sort of guide him back into what he was as a wrecking ball in between the tackles there. So I would be really excited if I'm a Chiefs fan. I think Peter Woods and Mesor Delane from LSU, I think those are 2 great draft picks and a great situation for a team that I don't think 6-11 is going to be a very common record for the Patrick Mahomes era from here on out.
Grayson, Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart, now the only 2 active coaches in the nation to have produced 20 or more first-round draft picks in their head coaching careers in a time where obviously Clemson's trying to get back to the mountaintop. Dabo's consistency putting players in the NFL says what?
Yeah, that's a program that it's been consistent for a long time, and I think it's a very perplexing situation, at least in April. This time we're talking about it now, where there were so many draft picks, and the season certainly didn't reflect the type of talent was on the field. But you go back and in researching some of the stuff, guys, you just consistently see whether it's 2 guys or 7 prospects, Clemson continues to pour consistent prospects into the NFL, and it's not a 10% hit rate. There's a lot of successful guys out there that have been representing Clemson at a high level. So it certainly is reflective of the program Swinney's built, and sure, it hasn't been as glamorous this decade, but nonetheless, there's still talent that they're able to produce. And I think from a recruiting standpoint, you're going to point to a lot of these draft picks and say, come here and you at least got a shot.
Yeah.
Grayson, what does it say that even in a down year, Clemson put 7 guys into the league, same as Miami, who played in the national championship game? I mean, even though the results weren't there, NFL scouts and GMs still think very highly of these guys coming out of this program.
I think if you had told me we're sitting here April 27th in 2025, and you said Clemson will have, I think, was it 8-9 guys drafted in next year's draft, I would have probably guessed Clemson was probably competing for a national championship this year. So it's humorous in that way of how these things tend to work out, but certainly an interesting number when you look at it, Diesel. So Miami too, lots of talent on that front. I think Clemson will look back at 2025 as one of the more strange seasons with the talent you have on the field, because I do think a lot of these guys are going to work out. I think Avion Terrell is going to work out for Atlanta. Blake Miller in a very tackle-friendly offense. I think a lot of those guys go up there and develop well. It's going to be perplexing, and that's the word that I got from a lot of these NFL scouts and some of these guys that really do the mock drafts for a living. Is it felt more like on a coaching thing. It might be an indictment right there of you have all this talent, but weren't able to put it all together. Incredibly perplexing.
Grayson, what do you make in Buffalo? I mean, you got a Gamecock up there now. TJ Parker going pretty early in round 2. A Buffalo team that emphasized defense in this draft. A team that's always on the cusp, right? And TJ Parker, similar with Peter Woods, and the fact that we were talking a lot about TJ Parker this time last year. Impact guy that we've seen make an impact at Clemson. How do you think that translates to Buffalo?
Buffalo's been looking for that last piece, right? Where they've been maybe a play or two away from being in the Super Bowl in multiple years. And so for Parker, it's interesting because he's somebody that, again, like Peter Woods, you step onto those mock drafts from last year. TJ Parker was another consensus first round lock and one of the best players at his position. And so you bring him to Buffalo, a championship team. It's sort of like Peter Woods, where you got to love the landing spot where he's not going to a dumpster fire of a franchise. They got the right pieces in place. They got the right culture. Buffalo certainly needed an extra pass rusher. And I think in a division where it's really Buffalo and New England right now, outside of what Miami and New York are trying to build, that extra piece. We saw how Drake May struggled against a serious pass rush in the playoffs. If you can try to bring that to him twice a year, and TJ Parker is that guy, then you got a real serious piece there for the next decade plus.
Grayson, 6 years between first round receivers coming out of Clemson. Will it be 6 years until we see another one, or do you see a future first rounder on Clemson's roster this year?
On this year, I think there's a strong chance. I don't know. I'm not sure Wesco and Moore are potentially those guys, just because you talk about stacked receiver class next spring. There's a lot of dudes. So Cam Coleman, one of them. We could go up and down the list. Jeremiah Smith could be the number one pick in the draft. So I think the way Chad Morris will design this offense is going to be very friendly to guys like TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco, who are going to get fed the ball like it's candy. And then you look at some of these freshman receivers that they've got. Naeem Burrows is a smooth receiver. Gordon Sellers stood out this spring. I'm not projecting them as first rounders right now, but I do believe if we're talking about as good a chance as it could get in the last 6 years, I think that this is probably that batch of receivers you keep an eye on for.
Grayson, is it a vendetta or is it just weird luck? 2026 now in the books, according to as far as the draft goes, and the Carolina Panthers continue their streak as the only active NFL franchise that have not drafted a Clemson Tiger. Is it a vendetta? Do they have something against Clemson?
Maybe we'll have to start a little conspiracy. I'll have to go find my tinfoil hat and we can all put them on and we can really dissect this from maybe take a whole segment to do it, because
that's what I'm saying. Why not?
Strange, right? The only franchise, and they're right down the road.
So is it? I mean, where do you stand? You think, how is it just coincidence year after year?
I couldn't tell you guys. I wish I was in the room to be like, hey, there's a few prospects down the road that you might want to take a look at. I mean, your training camp is 2 hours down the road. So Dabo Swinney was at training camp this fall for those guys. So
yeah,
it's tough to figure out. There's 32 NFL franchises and one is the only one that hasn't taken a Clemson prospect. I'm sure Panther fans, it's got to be a yearly cycle of pain if you're a Panthers and Clemson fan.
I think Dabo Swinney just didn't want to take a trip both north and south up and down I-85. If he can hit all of them going south in one location, he saves himself some gas by doing it that way. So I see what Dabo's up to. He's in the Panthers brass's ear saying, don't draft my guys because I don't want to go north and south.
I really hope Dabo Swinney's not worried about paying for gas money. I think he's got
That's true.
He's okay.
Grayson, you're the man as always. Appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Grayson.
Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. Always a good Clemson conversation. We didn't have time to get to Clemson baseball, but you know what? Maybe it's a good thing we didn't have time, Diesel, because what do you say?
They suck.
They suck. They're not good, right? It's just who they are.
How are they keeping their spirits up, Grayson?
Yeah. What is their favorite pregame meal, Grayson? Tell us what they're eating these days. Let's talk to Bob Pockrass, one of the best at what he does in his profession. Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports, joins the show next.
Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Well, yesterday was a day of first for the NASCAR fans out there pulling for Carson Hocevar as he gets his first career Cup win in front of a rowdy crowd in Talladega. To talk about it, we bring on Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports. He's joined the show before, and we always appreciate his time. Bob, you and I have talked about it before. We've talked about it across other NASCAR platforms as well, just the impact that Carson Hocevar was having on the sport in terms of capturing fans. At any point, did you think, oh, man, this guy is doing everything right, but the wins, obviously you've got to win to be respected, and he's ruffled a lot of feathers. Did you ever find yourself becoming impatient or doubting if Carson could ever win at the highest level?
I don't think I ever doubted it. When he first has to do everything right. No, he hasn't done everything right, and I don't expect him to do everything right. And, and I expect him to do things that'll make you scratch your head and make you, I never doubted that he would win a race, but I also, if he also retaliated and took some and got sat for a race, I wouldn't have doubted that either. So, but look, he has great talent. He has great enthusiasm. He does seem to be learning. He does seem to be maturing. And so, yesterday's win was not a surprise. I mean, he's right up there, battling for the win for the Daytona 500, and it ends up being turned. And so, no surprise that he was there in position to win at Talladega.
Talking to Bob Pockrass of Fox Sports. Hey, Bob, this is Diesel here. It's interesting that Spire Motorsports are coming on the scene the way that they are. I mean, they were once looked at as kind of a budget team, but they're obviously punching above their weight class right now, as are 2311 Racing. Who do you think of those two teams, or you can, drop in a write-in candidate if you want, as sort of that next up-and-coming team that is probably, in your mind, set up to have that great long-term success potential?
Ooh, I would say 2311. They have the facility design for long-term potential. They have the ownership who's there for long-term potential, and I just think the way they're positioned, is really strong. Not to say Spire isn't, but of those two, I certainly think 2311, is going to be one. You look Corey Heim potentially joining their Cup stable full time next year, and and they have arguably 3 top 10 drivers.
Do you think that Spire kind of worried about that or saw that coming? I think it was back in February where they signed Hocevar to a long-term deal through 2030, Bob. But other than that, no disrespect to Suarez and McDowell, do you think that if it weren't for Hocevar, Spire might be, I don't want to say on the way out or in trouble or anything like that, but you could also argue that if it weren't for that long-term contract, if Carson continued to have success, maybe he is with another racing team, but they just locked him up. Is he the guy that keeps them afloat, if you will?
I don't know if he keeps them afloat, but I think most strong teams have kind of that anchor driver, right? Yep. And, you would look at 2311 and say that's Tyler Reddick. And when you look at Spire, that's Carson Hocevar. And, because he's a guy that obviously they believe a lot in. He's a guy that who kind of fits their mold, right? They kind of have this renegade team with this renegade driver. And so for both sides, it's a really good fit.
Bob, I'm just curious, did you drive to work this morning, hanging out of the driver's side and steering with your foot? Is that going to be this summer's hottest trend on TikTok of kids trying that?
Well, I was driving, I drove to the airport, and didn't think that would be for you too well. Well, first off, I couldn't do it. All right. Let's face it. So I wouldn't even try. But yeah, what a great celebration and great, way to engage the fans.
Did you think there was going to be any backlash from it, though? I think Steve O'Donnell's okay with it.
Yeah, I think the biggest backlash is he hit the wall. It looks like he hit the wall pretty hard, and it jolted him. And you certainly can't have your drivers getting hurt that way. But I mean, Steve O'Donnell just the day earlier said, we need to try to bring the fun back in the sport.
Yeah.
And so, if that's the case, you're going to want to do that. Now, if they feel like that the car was compromised at all, as far as tech inspection goes, they probably will. They might have to say something about that. But the actual, sitting on the windowsill, pushing, there are only a few drivers who can do it. There's only a few drivers whose legs are long enough to do it. So I don't think they're going to be worried about too many other drivers attempting it.
Bob, before we move off of new CEO Steve O'Donnell, hosts of our kind of joked about it yesterday. And I've seen a lot of comments about what you just said, wanting to make NASCAR more fun, bring back excitement. What kind of impact is Steve already making and projected to make in a sport that's taken some criticism pretty hard on the chin over the past few years?
Well, I mean, I think what he brings is 30 years of experience, and he's been the subject of that criticism and has been, and has a good understanding of what the challenges are in that role and what the challenges the sport's faced. And he has a good base in the history of what decisions have worked and what decisions have not. And he can take all that experience and, and hopefully make good decisions for the future.
What is it about Talladega, Bob, that keeps lending itself to a lot of first-time winners?
Obviously, the predictability and the ability that anybody can pretty much be up there up front at times, depending on how well they navigate the draft. And it isn't totally, not that it's ever totally all car, but there's certain weekends where you're like, okay, these cars just do not have a chance to win. You don't really say that at Talladega.
Bob, before we let you go, a few more minutes with you, as we always appreciate your time. You mentioned Michael Jordan in 2311 a few minutes ago. As far as impact goes, we know what they're doing, winning races. Tyler Reddick's been in victory lane many, many times already this year. But outside of like the winning races, are there things you and others and NASCAR officials and NASCAR people can see when it comes to the immeasurables on the impact that Michael Jordan's bringing to the sport?
Well, I mean, I think we see the same thing everybody else sees, and you see, video of Michael Jordan at the racetrack, of him having a lot of fun. Of course, when you celebrate in victory lane, it's a lot of fun, right? Yeah. We didn't see a lot of videos of him last year, right? Being frustrated, but you saw. I mean, I think when you see the videos of those things outside outside, kind of the motorsports bubble. I've done interviews with international publications about Michael Jordan and his impact on the sport and what makes him a successful race team owner. So that's pretty immeasurable just as far as the exposure.
Bob, when LeBron James inevitably copies Michael Jordan again and gets into NASCAR or just, other celebrities and star athletes, if they wanted to get into NASCAR and get involved in it, is that something you would invite? Is that something that fans would embrace?
I mean, I think they'd certainly embrace it, but what makes Michael Jordan different is that he grew up going to races. His dad worked on race cars. I mean, their family vacations were going to Darlington and going to Rockingham and going to Talladega and going to some of these, and going to these, when he was when he was a student at the University of North Carolina, and he showed up at the Coke 600, and there's no way to kind of replace that type of passion that you've had for decades. If you're coming in from the outside and not having experience before. So, I think it's just different. You know, he just has this passion for the sport. He owned a motorcycle team in the past, and he just, you know, and it's part of his. It's just been part of his life for so long that, you know, I don't know that another athlete could enjoy the winning of races as much as Michael Jordan.
Bob, you are the best as always. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports, talking about Carson, host of Ours Win, Michael Jordan, and yeah, he's right. Good impact as long as MJ's teams are winning. He's won a lot this year. But what they say, the fun's in the winning, I think Dabo Swinney once said. Diesel.
I would never tell Bob that, but that last question was just to get under your skin.
Which one?
About LeBron.
Oh, LeBron.
Copying Michael again.
Yeah. More ignorance. It's okay. Not everybody's smart.
I've never been accused of that. When we come back, it is Overreaction Monday. Tolos, get out those phones and start dialing now. Get on the lines, 844-326-3663. What have you got to overreact about? That's next.
Upstate.
Tolos, what did you see this weekend that's got you in a little bit of a tizzy? That's had you squirming in your seat, had you going it over it in your head again and again and again all weekend long. It is Overreaction Monday, every Monday here at 5
We're
o'clock.
excited, right?
Yes, we're excited. You get the opportunity to call in at 844-326-3663 and overreact about something you saw this weekend. I've got mine. Cole has his, but callers always lead the show. Let's go to TA in Gaffney, who's excited about something. What have you got for Overreaction Monday, TA?
Well, it's just a big wow factor.
Wow.
Because I'm a Yankees guy. My grandfather once said you can have an American League team and a National League team until they meet in the World Series, if they do. And these teams have. But the New York Yankees, without Googling this, in the 1970s, I just found this out this weekend. How much did George Steinbrenner pay for the New York Yankees? Bought them from CBS. Just guessing without looking.
Well, when you start a question with in the 1970s and don't Google it, it's always going to be a wrong guess for me, but I'll play the game. He bought him from CBS?
I'm going to guess he bought him for $50 million.
No, not near that much. No, I don't think.
50. I'm going to say $50 million.
All right, now go ahead, Cole.
Venture a guess.
I think 50 is just way too high.
$100? I mean, $100 in the 1970s is like $10 million today.
I'm going to guess horribly. I'm going to say $2.5 million.
Gosh.
You're closer. $8.8 million.
What?
Wow.
And now they're worth an estimated $8 billion.
Good Lord.
That is insane.
That's a wow. I'll let y'all.
Well, I was going to can I ask you a question? You're a Yankees fan, TA?
I'm a Dodgers and a Yankees of all things, but yes, I like the Yankees.
Well, you might want to keep pulling for the Dodgers because it's been a long time since. How old were you? What were you doing in 2009 when the Yankees last won a World Series? Right?
I was pulling for A-Rod, even though there was controversy. He got his World Series title in 2009. So
TA, I just looked this up. $8 million, just to keep it easy, round number here. $8 million in 1970 is equal to roughly $65 million in today's money. What a bargain!
Yeah,
what a bargain.
But you know what, though? Teams have valued. The value has just skyrocketed. And let me throw one at you, TA.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's as much of a wow as was it Steinbrenner?
Steinbrenner?
Was it Steinbrenner?
Steinbrenner.
Okay. Steinbrenner. How much did Jerry Jones purchase the Cowboys for when he bought them in 89?
Okay, I know they're the most expensive franchise in North America, maybe the world. Wow, that's a good one. I'm gonna be with Big D there. I'm gonna be right in the 50 to 100. No, 300 million. Let me just say 300.
I think he picked him up for a handshake and a fancy saddle.
More than that.
More than that. Okay, I'll go with TA about 100 mil.
140 million.
Wow.
140. So let me talk about ROI for a second, TA. He bought them for 140 million. He paid 65 and 65 in cash, by the way, borrowed the rest. And I don't know where you get that much cash from.
God, have good friends like that. You can borrow that much money from.
But the point is, he bought them for 140 million. They are now worth over $11 billion.
Franchises were not money printing machines back then like they are now. It's crazy.
Dear God.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Yankees won 2 or 3 World Series in the late 70s. So he hit the ground with I'll buy a team and I'll put it together and we'll tear it down for 2 years and I'll buy another couple championships. That's why I like Stein. And Jones won't do that.
TA, what do you think about the Yankees finally loosening up on the no facial hair restriction?
I'm down with that. I've always been down with that. I mean, I'm a goatee guy. You know, there's a guy in Philadelphia that wets his hair and it hangs way down his back and his beard's all burly. I'm not down with that. I'm just not down with that guy. Bat's left-handed, good bat, you know, but there's got to be some type of, you know, you're representing the city and you know, I'm down with some facial hair.
So if you could only choose one, though, do you go Yankees or Dodgers? If you only you said you like them both, but if you only choose one,
yeah, if they play in the World Series, I'd pull Yankees.
Really? So who's the greatest Yankee of all time? Jeter, Babe Ruth, Joe, Lou? Who's your greatest?
See, I have a hard time with like Babe Ruth because I honestly think he couldn't make a major league team today. I don't think Babe Ruth could play in the major leagues today. Look at that body. Look at that 38-ounce bat. He ain't hitting no 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So anyway, statistically, I'm taking Jeter every day of the week over all of those guys.
That player you were talking about from the Phillies, by the way, is left fielder Brandon Marsh. And, I mean, he looks like something you might just see walking the streets or sleeping on the streets in Philadelphia.
It looks like something you would pull out of a marsh.
That's good. That's good. Thanks for the call, TA.
Great show, but that was wild.
I like it. I like it. He that's with a wow. I did not know the answer to that.
Something you pull out of a marsh.
Looks like something you'd pull out of a marsh. How about that?
Let's go to the phone lines yet again and go to Tom in Somerville, who's DMing me while he's on hold. Tom, can you just tell me what you DM me?
Slid into his DMs.
Okay, so the NCAA just continuously finds ways to make themselves the most corrupt and stupid organization of all time. So today they met about the 5 to play 5, and it sounds like that's going to pass moving forward, which is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. For those that don't, can you explain, Tom, for those out there listening that don't know what you're talking about?
Basically, you have 5 years to play college athletics from the time you graduate high school, which it should be the case. But what is tucked away in their proposal that they put out today that not enough people are talking about. So for college basketball specifically, and this is a real quote in this proposal, that college basketball coaches have to prove they did not tamper. If you don't prove that you did not tamper, you will be guilty of tampering. It is in the proposal. How in the world are you expecting coaches to prove they did not tamper? And if they don't, you're immediately telling them that you are guilty of tampering.
It's real easy, Tom. Just don't tamper.
But you have to tamper. There's no way.
No, you don't. You don't have to. You choose to.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you're the coach at Clemson and I'm the coach at South Carolina, and I tell the NCAA, hey, he's over there, he's tampering. Investigation starts, okay? They're going to walk up to you. You have to prove that you did not tamper, and that means tampering at all. Any form of communication prior to entering the portal. And if there is one text message that you cannot prove that you did not tamper, then you are immediately punished. Like, it is the stupid. It's basically they're telling you you are guilty until proven innocent and not innocent until proven guilty.
And see, that's why I couldn't be a coach, Diesel, Tom, because I'm with you, Tom. There's no way I could coach and be competitive and not tamper. Like, I just couldn't not do it. So I'd be guilty of it with every player.
You cannot not tamper in today's calendar in college basketball. The portal opens basically, let's just say a week, whatever, after the season ends. 2 weeks after the season ends. If you have 10-plus guys leaving your roster, whether it's graduation or whatever the case may be, how in the world are you expected to put together a roster, meaning first contact, within 2 weeks of the portal opening, and then you only have a couple weeks till the portal closes. You have to make contact when the season's still being played.
Tom, let me ask you this question.
No other way around it.
Do you ever like write out a text message and you're not entirely sure you want to send it, so it goes to this little folder called drafts? You just wait until the transfer portal opens before you hit send.
Then he'll be gone.
No, he won't be gone because
be gone.
Nobody else can reach out to him either.
Oh, they're all reaching out to him, though. Everybody's reaching out to him.
Anybody who reaches out to him is going to have to prove that they didn't tamper either. And once it's proved that they did tamper, their ass is grass.
No, well, old Pete, he tampered.
Oh, my God. We have to actually enforce rules. What world we live in.
But what rules, though? I mean, Pete Golding tampered, and what's happened to him?
Well, that's a retroactive.
Exactly.
We're talking about proactively now going forward.
On that.
No, I'm saying you have to. I mean, there's no choice. Like it.
You have to, quote unquote, tamper in order to build a roster. You have no other option.
Correct.
So what are they going to do? Suspend 90% of college basketball coaches? Suspend the players? That's going to cause an even bigger mess.
Yeah, I'm with you. And there's been no guidelines for punishing coaches that have tampered. So, what are they going to do?
Exactly. It's a mess. It is an absolute mess. The NCAA, again, it's time to break away. The money is there. Just tell the NCAA to kick rocks. We're on our own.
I like it, Tom.
See, Tom, I think it's a brilliant rule. I think it's a brilliant rule that you have to actually wait until the transfer portal opens to start calling players.
But nobody's going to, though. That's the thing. Nobody's going
to. Hopefully, the punishment is severe enough that it makes coaches say, you know what, it's not worth sending that text message until, let's say it's a Monday that the portal opens. Got to wait till Monday. We can send it on Monday. Don't send it on Thursday of the week prior, because you know that you're going to have to prove that you didn't send any text messages before then.
And Shane kind of hit it on it, on the stream there. If everyone's tampering, is anyone tampering? I mean, it's intended to be a joke, but really.
But do we want law and order in college sports or not?
But what law and order, though?
This is the proposal is for law and order.
Yeah, but we're just saying what our point is who's going to call you out for, like, you're all doing it. So there's not going to be any punishment for it. I think to me, it sounds like it'd be just a dumb, pointless rule that doesn't get enforced.
I understand that there are growing pains when you introduce a new rule like this. We've been allowed to cheat for years. Now, all of a sudden, we have to follow the rules. What do you mean we have to follow the rules? But we as fans, we all say we want them to have to follow rules.
We do.
So we want enforceable rules, or do we just want fodder to complain about?
No, I want structure. I want rules, but we all know that this is not going to fix it. Like, I mean, again, we can hope and pray. We can hope and pray that building's over there is going to collapse. But just because we hope and pray that building collapses.
But if I'm about to go to bed tonight and I clasp my hands together and I say, please, Lord, please make Pete Golding not cheat anymore, it's not going to do anything.
No.
Pete Golding's still going to cheat. So hoping and praying doesn't do anything.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to cheat. And this new rule, they're still going to cheat. They're still going to tamper. And I agree with what Tom said. If you want to be successful, ask Dabo Swinney, you've got to tamper. Like, you've just got to. If you truly want to get the guys, if you want to be by the book like Dabo and do things the right way, that's fine. Do things the right way, but you're not going to get the best players. You're just not. So you either choose to do what everybody's doing, like Shane said. If everybody's tampering, is anyone tampering? You either choose to do that, or you choose to sit on the sideline, and you're going to suffer from it because you're not going to have the best players in the sport.
Let's go to the phone lines yet again and bring in Dan B. Welcome to the show, Dan. It's Overreaction Monday.
Hey, guys. I'll start with the draft. Just my team not having no first-round pick, 1 second-round pick, no third-round pick. Like, I have no idea what Denver was doing. Nothing seems to move the needle for me.
I don't know. What picks did they have?
They had a late second-round pick was their first pick. It was like pick 68 of the draft.
Tyler Onyedem from Texas A&M.
Yeah. And I feel like almost every single one of their picks was a reach too. But that we can always argue about all that. It's not important. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a very underwhelming draft for my team for sure.
Did they have the worst draft out of everybody? Was Denver the absolute worst?
Oh, that part I haven't even seen the grading on all that yet. I haven't gone.
NFL.com grades this as an A- draft.
Well, that's pretty good then. So
Seems like they got a lot of value, even though they didn't have high level picks.
A lot of these names just aren't well recognized. That's
Don't know
the
any
thing.
of these guys.
No, I mean defensive tackle, running back, guard, tight end, safety, tight end, linebacker. You never heard of any of them. Buffalo,
Right, exactly.
Utah, Illinois.
Yeah, but Red Murdoch, that's a great name. Red Murdoch.
It does sound
linebacker from Buffalo,
South Carolina-ish.
That's true.
I loved your stat about how draft picks coming from certain schools, Diesel, that you put on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure you put in that there was the one guy who never played any football from Nigeria that got drafted.
Yeah, that's interesting though, to see how much talent is being stripped out of FCS and G6 schools. It's hard to say G6 now. It doesn't roll off the tongue like G5.
Right. Except when you're living the life of luxury in your G6 airport.
That's true.
And their whole song about that.
Yeah, I think there is. Have you ever flown a G6?
No. I've flown in a G4, but yeah, I've never flown.
What's the difference between a 4 and a 6?
2 numbers.
It's fair. $2 million.
No, but tens of millions of dollars.
Okay.
What else, Dan?
NASCAR. Great weekend or Saturday and Sunday of NASCAR. I watched the ARCA race, and of course, I've been a huge Cletus McFarland fan for years. I've been following him. So
was he leading at some point?
Oh yeah, he was leading, and if he admits that if he had done something different coming out of turn 4 and going through the whatever you call that, the D part of the racetrack, he had messed up, and he was kind of like he was pushing the one guy down that was in the lead, and then that allowed the other guy to pass them both. He thinks he had a shot to win the race if he hadn't kind of screwed that up right there at the last second. So yeah, but anyway, the other guy that did win, first-time winner, there was the first-time winner, was I always forget his name. He won for the first time in O'Reilly's, and then Carson winning. It's like only the third time in a weekend where all 3 winners of something were brand new winners, something like that. I don't remember the exact stat.
Did you hear Bob Pockrass, Dan?
Yeah, I was listening.
Okay.
Always great to have him on. But yeah, no, I was pissed. Denny screwed up his race. That was all his fault for speeding. And I could tell too, when he crossed when he was the first to pit, you could just tell he was flying across that line compared to everyone else. I'm like, oh man, he's going to get a speeding penalty. And sure enough, speeding penalty.
Dan, you were like one of 5 people to text me yesterday about Carson. I was not watching. The one day I wasn't watching, you and many others.
Yeah, no, I mean, the big one was the big one, of course, 26 cars.
God.
It was crazy to see, like, even Ty Gibbs, who got back in the race, but as he was driving back to the pits, his car, I'm not even kidding, was canted 30 degrees driving in a crab at 30 degrees. Sometimes you'll see him, they're a little bit out of tow or whatever. He was literally driving diagonal. I'm like, wow. And then Suarez, he had to drive back to the pits in reverse for some reason. I mean, it was a nasty crash. And but overall, a decent race to watch. The whole flipping of the stage lengths to the beginning and then the end. And I think Denny did a good job because he starts off leading the race and they're all holding back. You can tell they're all at 50% throttle. And about 20 laps in, he's like, okay, we're done doing this. And then it just became a wide open race the rest of the race.
It was.
And,
it was.
Yeah.
Love it for Hocevar, though, for sure.
Good stuff, Dan.
Good on him. I mean, and he does the burnout. He's done now. It's one of the craziest burnouts that you talked about.
Oh, no
Steve
doubt.
O'Donnell.
Yeah.
He's all good for it. I'm good for it. I think Steve O'Donnell and them bringing Cletus in, and even Cletus's best friend is now in the ARCA racing too. Like, they're doing all these things to try to again ramp up the fandom. And I think the other guy, I forget his name, the number 2 guy now, he's in charge of tracks, and they've been making some rumblings about bringing back some tracks. Like, everybody's starting to talk about getting rid of, say, the second Kansas race and opening up. I don't remember who's closed right now, but a track that we used to go to, and
Greenville Pickens.
Yeah, not that. Sorry.
Sorry.
Probably. But yeah, no, it's just great. It's just great to see that NASCAR is actively trying to do things to boost the fandom.
When did Rob Manfred take over NASCAR? It's changing everything.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
How tall do you have to be to drive and do that type of celebration? So, like,
you gotta have long, like you gotta be like 6'6".
Host of ours, I think, is probably 6'5".
Gosh,
I just want to know, like,
could he not just?
If I drove a Jeep, maybe I could. I'm short. Like, if I drove a Jeep like yours, maybe Jeep from the windowsill to the gas pedal. I don't feel like it's too far.
That's a long. No, the windowsill's high, and that at least in mine, because I'm a man, I drive a manual. That it's a long clutch push. So you gotta.
I don't know that I can do
legs
it
to get down there.
I drive a GMC. I have to try it. I'd like to be able to. I'm gonna try it in the parking lot.
My overreaction for this Monday, Cole, is Mike Greenberg saying that NFL draft analysts should be able to call timeout in the middle of a draft so that they can have more time to talk about and break down picks.
Wow.
I mean, I get we led the show with it, talking about how the draft was under 3 hours for the first round this year. That's half the length of what it was 20 years ago.
It started at 8.
Yes.
So it was 9, 10, 11, still.
Yeah.
8,
so it was a 3 hour. Think about it. It used to be a 6 hour slog, and they were looking for things to talk about to fill 6 hours, which is ludicrous. But he's saying, no, guys, we should be able to call timeout. We should be able to stop the draft so that we can have more time to break down these picks. Mike, if the draft is moving too fast for you, then you need to stop covering the draft.
Well, I would just say to him, like, doesn't he have a show the next morning where he can talk about that draft all he wants to? I mean, he has his own show, or he can talk about it for what? Get ups on from 8 to 10.
I mean, they shortened it to 8 minutes this year, and most of the teams didn't take 8 minutes. They were taking about 5 minutes. But come on, man, you got 5 minutes to be able to run through this. And if you want to be all analysis and skip over all the other stuff, the interviews, the thanks, I love my mom, thank you so much for taking me. I mean, go be on an online show or a separate stream that's just about analyzing these picks. You got 5 minutes of draft pick.
I didn't even watch Greeny. I watched Game Day. So I like Greeny. I don't have a problem with him.
I like watching his show,
but I watched Game Day instead.
Just the call for being able to call timeouts was ridiculous. Because then you give the team that you call timeout during their clock, you give them more time to pick.
Yeah, tell them to start a podcast.
Yeah,
plenty of time on a podcast for him to do all that he wants to do. Let's talk a little baseball. Diamond, Dirt, Diesel. What's the latest dirt on the Diamond? Braves, Clemson, South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, North Greenville, all local teams that we cover. Some really good, some really not good. But we've got to talk about them. We'll get to them next.
844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, what's the latest dirt, Diesel, on the Diamond? A little segment, Diamond Dirt, where we look at what's going on locally, the teams we covered, college and pro, on the baseball diamond. Some really good, some not so good. And let's get the not so good out of the way. We didn't even have time to ask Grayson Mann about this because it was so bad.
Is there really a point?
Well, luckily we ran out of time. We ran out of time, and that was the good thing for us.
That was by design.
Yes, Clemson baseball now 26-19, 6-15 in conference play after another bad weekend where the Tigers, look, at this point in the season, Diesel, you are who you are. But a 3-game loss, 3 games in a row, a sweep to the hands of the Louisville Cardinals over the weekend. You know, we've talked about this a few times over the past couple of weeks. One bad season certainly doesn't define Eric Bakich, but what one bad season does do is it kind of opens your eyes a little bit to where you ask the question, okay, what kind of changes, self-reflection, development, recruiting changes will happen? Because like this hasn't been a okay season. This has been a really bad season.
No, it certainly starts to reveal cracks in the dam, so to speak. I mean, it makes you rethink everything. It makes Graham Neff and the administration over there look and see, like, how much money are we spending on this? It will inevitably make someone in the room, whether or not they get to control the conversation, say, well, why are we spending this much money on a coach or a roster or an assistant staff that's not getting it done?
I think it's like where your boss is noticing in your workplace that the job's not getting done anymore. This is the point where Graham Neff looks to see if the door's open, right? Like Graham Neff's not walking down the hall. Graham Neff's not having a big conversation with Eric Bakich. Graham Neff's not considering moving on. But I do think this bad of a season causes the AD to look over his shoulder a little bit. Is the door open down there? Those guys working today? Look, again, not overreacting, not panicking, but they are now just god-awful in conference play. They're not going to get out of the first round probably. They're 6-15. They've won 6 ACC games, Diesel. That's atrocious.
Yeah, on a team that we thought would have some bats, not necessarily the
better
arms.
Well, I mean, we thought it'd be a deeper pitching staff, and it's deep in some you-know-what. They have got Boston College left on their schedule, Coastal Carolina, Florida State.
Not a guarantee they beat Coastal.
No. Heck no. I bet Coastal will be probably favored. And then they finish the season at Virginia Tech and Blacksburg here in a couple of weeks. So it's tough if you're a Clemson baseball fan. You know what's even more tough is Clemson baseball fans the past couple of years have been dogging on Gamecock fans, but they can't dog on them. That's what's really tough. But you gonna dog on. You're terrible, just like Carolina's. Who's worse right now? I don't know. That's a good question. Both are pretty bad. But that's the skinny on Clemson. A lot has gone wrong. Do I think they'll turn it around? Absolutely not. They are who they are. Not a lot of season left. You just got to flush it, Diesel, I guess, and put it behind you if you're Clemson and Eric Bakich. Coastal Carolina, you mentioned, well, guess what? No flushing here. A team that's 30-13 on the season. 17-4. Our in-state Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, they did lose this past weekend, but they're now 10-5 on the road, 18-6 at home. Once again, Schnall has this group contending, knocking on the door of the postseason. They've got a big one tomorrow against North Carolina, the second best team in the country, but they took 2 of 3 from Texas State, won another Sun Belt Series. Diesel, that's all you can ask for, winning series, and this Coastal Carolina team is pretty good at doing that.
Yeah, the one thing about Coastal is they're beating up on conference foes, and the Sun Belt is a good baseball conference, but when they face the best of the best, they tend to not look very good. For example, you go back to their last matchup against an ACC foe, a really good one in that, Wake Forest. They lost 5-10. Now they beat them like a week prior to that, 2-1 in Durham. But outside of that, Cole, they're not getting necessarily the wins over the best of the best, the high-end programs that you expect them to face when they get into postseason play?
Well, tomorrow will be interesting. Tomorrow will be, again, just the second best team in the country tomorrow. Now, Coastal's got some arms, though. Like, they've got some legitimate arms. Here's what you have to remember with tomorrow. They're playing all these big teams, Diesel. So, like, if I'm playing devil's advocate of what you just said, no, they're not beating a lot of these great teams, but they're playing them midweek, so they're not able to throw their best arms at them.
That's true.
Now, Cade Smith.
That's also to say that those programs are not throwing their best arms at Coastal either.
They're not, but I would think their midweek arms are probably a little bit better. No offense to Coastal. Cade Smith's a really good player for Coastal Carolina. They've got some dudes on the mound. I'm sorry. Cade Smith's plays for Texas Tech. Ross Newman had a really good weekend for Coastal Carolina, Diesel. I got my wires crossed there. But when you look at Coastal, I think you absolutely feel like this team can they're going to be in the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
I think how deep of a run? Maybe we'll still see on that, but I think this is a team that's going to make some noise in the postseason. It's all going to come down to pitching for Coastal Carolina. So Coastal, out of the way. Clemson, out of the way. South Carolina, enough to retain Monty Lee, Diesel? I mean, Monty Lee won another series. Is that what you ask of your interim coach? I know last weekend wasn't great, but South Carolina did take 2 of 3 from Kentucky over the weekend. We all would assume that there's going to be a major cleaning of house at the end of the season. The Gamecocks now 22-3 on the season, 7-14 in conference play. They did lose yesterday to Kentucky. But what's interesting about this season is we can say this is a better team. I don't know how much better, but this is a better baseball team, Diesel, under Monty Lee than it was Paul Mainieri.
They're finally playing with a little belief.
Yeah.
You know, there was just something, and it's odd that, you know, we talked to Paul Mainieri. He's a nice, likable guy. Somehow it wasn't translating inside that locker room. I don't know if maybe it was that classic the beatings will continue until morale improves kind of situation in Columbia, but the morale has improved without him.
Morale's improved. The fielding has improved. The hitting's improved a little bit as well. I mean, there's been several areas of improvement. So, look, I don't think it changes anything. I think South Carolina still lets Monty Lee go. But it is good to see him playing down the stretch with a little bit of life, right? That's all you can ask for. On the North Greenville side of things, as we're talking college baseball, all things baseball, the teams that we cover, Diesel, North Greenville finishes the regular season 42-8, 28-5 in conference play. Division II baseball does wrap up a little bit earlier than Division I. They start earlier as well. They begin Conference Carolinas tournament Thursday up in Gastonia at Caramount Health Park. So North Greenville will see if they can defend a Conference Carolinas championship, but they took 2 of 3 this past weekend from Emmanuel, and maybe we'll enter another offseason, Diesel, where Landon Powell conversation will come up where we'll be asking, does Landon Powell leave North Greenville for a bigger job? It seems like we have that conversation every single year.
Well, I mean, he'll just keep racking up conference titles and, you know, national titles for as long as they'll have him in North Greenville, which will be indefinitely. I cannot believe that the conversation is not centering around Landon Powell. I mean, even if you wanted to bring him in and not pay him that much money because you're not sure of what he's really capable of at a power program at the SEC level, fine. Pay him peanuts to start with. I mean, peanuts at South Carolina is, 10x timesing his salary at North Greenville. Pay him peanuts, let him prove it to you, and then pay him on the back end.
Should have been the conversation last year. Well, it was, from a lot of people. It should have been already, but again, I can't figure that one out. One more team to cover as we are talking a little baseball dirt, diamond dirt, if you will, Diesel. We finish with the team that's the hottest right now, the Atlanta Braves. They are still winning series as of April 27th. Today, they have not lost a series in 2026. And if you would have told me that, I would have probably told you you're crazy going into the season. They took 2 of 3 from the Phillies this past weekend. Now they have taken 5 of 6 from the Phillies, I believe, over the past week and a half. I think they played them 2 weekends in a row, right?
And that game 3 that they lost from the Phillies was a 4-game series, wasn't it?
4-game series. So they've, Yeah, I think it might have been a 4 game.
That second to last game, the one that they lost. I mean, they were in a tight ball game until the Phillies just busted it wide open in one inning. So they've only had one bad inning against the Phillies their entire season,
and they've got a 6.5 game lead right now in the NL East. They have the pitching. Their lineup is deadly right now. Now, to be fair, the Braves over the next 2 weeks are about to face some legit arms, like legit arms. But this Braves team's good.
You come into it feeling as good as you possibly can. Drake Baldwin's putting the ball all over the place.
My gosh.
Matt Olson is slugging. Harris is hitting. Albies is hitting. I mean, they're all putting wood on the ball.
And like I said earlier in the Daily Wires, man, Chris Sale's the guy that deserves the praise. Like, they all deserve it, but Chris Sale at this age is just absolutely playing at an elite level. I don't know that any Braves fan expected him to be playing at this elite level at this age of his career. The Braves, Diesel, by the way, this is the first time the Braves have had 20-plus wins before May 1st in franchise history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did see that they, in the broadcast, they said that one of the games this weekend was sold out, which means you can't get into Braves games.
God.
It's hard. That's a hot ticket down there in Atlanta.
Eli White was good this weekend.
Yep.
Again, the pitching was great.
Except for that diving catch that he missed.
Yeah.
That wasn't good. And I don't think it was Harris playing center. Was he playing center field?
Can't remember who was.
When it was the rain game, so it would have been the Saturday night game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was playing center field. He tried to plant, and that heel slid out from under him, and that ball got away.
They're off today, by the way. Back at home tomorrow. Martin Perez on the mound. They host the Detroit Tigers. Detroit's an average baseball team right now, 15-14, but Detroit's been doing all their winning at home. On the road, they're only 5-12. Only 5-12. So Casey Mize starting tomorrow night for the Tigers. Martin Perez, he has a 2.70 ERA. Both sub-3 ERAs going in tomorrow's game. But home run leader Matt Olson, 8 home runs. He's batting .296, 25 RBIs. And right now, you mentioned Michael Harris. He's batting .323.
The fact that they brought him in to pinch hit in a game that he was out of says everything. And then he gets a base hit. I mean, he is just seeing the ball so well that you can pinch hit him, and he's productive.
And we'll keep an eye on Sean Murphy, Spencer Strider, Raciel Iglesias, Dylan Dodd. I mean, you've got a lot of guys still on the way back, but this baseball team right now, they're hitting .274 as a team, Diesel. So they're making contact, won 4 out of their last 5, 2 with Washington, 2 out of 3 with Philly. It's a good time to be a Braves fan right now.
When we come back, Cole, let's spark a little conversation here late in the 5 o'clock hour. The question I have for you and for the Tolos at 844 fan phone, are you a send it back kind of person? Are you that kind of person? And how many times can you send it back?
This was a PG show.
Not what?
Oh, sorry.
Send it back.
Oh, no, nothing.
I don't want to know where your head was going with that. And how many times is too many times to send it back? That's next.
Oh.
Cole, are you a send it back person at a restaurant? If you get a meal that, especially specifically here, we're talking about steaks. If it's not cooked the way that you want it, do you just stomach it and not tip them, or do you send it back and make them do it right?
Well, I would never not tip because it's very rare that it's the waiters or waitress's fault, right?
Reduce the tip. Do you reduce the tip for poor food and poor service?
If it's poor service, I don't mind not tipping. If it's poor food, that's on the cooks most of the time. I am usually not one to send back. Unless it's just bad. Now, if it's bad, I'll send it back.
That's fascinating because I am a send it back person to a point, right? Like if I'm going to a lower end or just a casual restaurant in the vein of like an Applebee's, a Chili's, that kind of, I'm not expecting a ton.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting a ton out of the steak because I understand that I'm not paying a whole lot for the steak, so I'm not really all that worried about it. It's still going to taste fine. I'm just not that worried about it. Now, if it's a high-end restaurant where I'm spending a lot of money on the steak, I am absolutely sending it back. But this clip here, Cole, is going viral since every time we talk about food, it always opens up the conversation. This woman here claims, who's a waitress, claims that her table sent a steak back how many times?
Food comes out. Before everybody's food can even get set on the table, one of the ladies is already complaining that her food is overcooked. Get her a new steak. She complains about that one. I get her a third steak. She complains about the third steak. Now she's complaining about her daughter's steak. Recook on that one. We now have like 6 recooks at this point. My other manager has to go out and tell them, unfortunately, we cannot give you another steak. Gets all up in my manager's face. Things start getting thrown. They're flipping plates over. They're pouring drinks everywhere. The cops get called. What is happening?
So they're playing a game of ping pong with the kitchen over some steaks. Now, look, I 100% am with the steak loving people who are like, never cook it over medium rare.
Yeah.
Never cook it over medium rare. And it's one of the first things I do when I get a steak from a restaurant. I cut it right down the middle. And if that thing is gray/brown all the way through and I ordered it medium rare, it's going back. Like flat out, it's going back. It tells me that the cook either forgot about it, left it on the grill way too long, or doesn't have a clue what he's doing, or in the pan, doesn't have a clue what he's doing, actually cooking a steak.
Yeah, if it's a big difference, like if I order medium rare and it's medium well, definitely I'll send it back. I have no problem with it. If it's a little off, I'm not going to do it. I've worked in the restaurant industry many, many different times, and I know how much of a pain people can be. So I try not to be a pain. Now, again, if it's way off, if it's way different than what I ordered, I don't have a problem with it. I've just seen so many Karens. It sounds like that was a Karen that lady was talking about, where it's just every little nitpicking thing. You know, if you don't like it, go home and cook it yourself. That's
true.
Oh, the people,
I can't send it back in my own kitchen.
No, people, that is a awful ick.
6 times.
6 times.
6 times. Now, one of them was her daughter's steak. Sending that back.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
People are bad, man. I'm telling you, I've worked in several restaurants and it is bad. It is just awful. People don't care. They're not respectful. It's me, and they're rude, and then they don't tip you, and then it's not the waitress's fault usually, you know, that the food's messed up. They usually have very little to do with it.
They don't have anything to do with it.
So it's tough. The restaurant industry, people don't realize it is brutal. It is a brutal industry where people are rude. They don't care. They treat it like it's life or death.
I feel bad sending steaks back because it affects everybody else at my table. Now I got to sit there, usually with a plate of French fries or something, just blinking at them while they enjoy their meal. And then I've got to wait. And then as I'm finishing it, they've been sitting there watching me chow down on a steak because I had to take another 5-10 minutes to get a steak out of the kitchen.
Or longer, depending on where you are. If it's a little off, I think as a society, we should just be okay. If you want perfection, you do it yourself. If it's way off, I don't have a problem.
If you want perfection, go to a higher end steakhouse.
Yeah.
Again, don't expect high end steaks from a mid tier restaurant.
Or cook it yourself. I think, and this is no offense to restaurants out there. I had a really good steak Friday night in downtown Spartanburg, but I think I can cook a steak as good as most restaurants. So if I want like it done exactly the way I want it, I'll do it myself. Cast iron. I know how it's going to turn out. I know exactly what to do. Sometimes in a restaurant, though, I mean, like the steak I had Friday night was really fatty. I like fatty steaks. Not everybody does. I can just imagine if somebody else had that steak and didn't like fat, they'd have sent it back because it was too fatty. I love the fat on a steak, though. You'll never hear. I mean, I'll eat it. That's the best part.
Really? You eat the fat on the steak?
Eat the whole thing.
My sister was like surgical with taking off every little bitty ounce of fat.
I love it.
She refused to touch it.
I love it. I think it's the most flavorful. Oh, I'll eat it. I'll eat the whole, all the fat. Give me all the fat you want. That's why I'm fat, I guess.
Next time we go to a steak restaurant, I'll give you my fat.
Oh, you don't like it?
I don't say that. I'll eat some of it. What is it? The ribeye usually has that big old knob of fat right in the middle. I don't eat that.
Yeah. I'm with you. So
a little around the edges, of course.
Yeah, you got to get a little of that flavor. Yeah. Let's dive into the NFL draft. That is the biggest story today coming out of this past weekend. What did we react to? What were the biggest storylines? We'll talk about